Start today's news from Media, where residents along the Pokwase Insahoma Highway construction zone are being forced to evacuate their homes after years of flooding caused by blocked drainage systems. The flooding is the result of obstructed natural waterways from ongoing construction, leaving homes and streets submerged. Residents say repeated appeals to authorities have gone unanswered. My colleague, Auditor-General, was there and has come through this report.
And this is the problem. Come and see. And it's really hurt.
Media is a town struggling with persistent water stagnation due to the absence of a proper drainage system. Mosquito infestation and waterborne diseases have become a daily reality for residents. This is not a naturally waterlogged area, but a community deprived of functional waterways, preventing rainwater and liquid waste from flowing freely.
They promise us, and up to now, because every time people will be calling you, Mr. Joe, come, and this is the problem, come and see. And it's really hurt.
Over the years, stagnant water has made living conditions unbearable, forcing many residents to abandon their homes.
This is a deserted house taken over by weeds. Across the compound are sacks filled with sand serving as a bridge for the neighbor behind this house to be able to get through. People do not live in this house not just because they evacuated, but because they died. 2 years ago, a flooding that occurred in the area claimed the life of a 3-month-old baby. Some months afterwards, the baby's parents also died due to an infection caused by the stagnant water. Nana Kwesi Bedu is a landlord. He says he can no longer rent out rooms in his house because of the situation. This is supposed to be a compound house where people live. Yet, more than half of the compound has been taken over by water, duckweed, and algae. Here are blocks the people step on to be able to move on this compound.
We've
really struggled going back and forth. We really expected them to construct a drainage system for us. I told to save to build this house, but look at how water is destroying it. We really plead with authorities to come to our aid.
So this is where we have to pass, just so we could get into his place. We had to pass behind the plants and then step on blocks on the compound because it's so full of water.
2,000. Serious. Up to now, no grant on.
Joseph Akoto, a resident of Media, describes the worsening conditions and appeals to authorities to intervene.
So we are pleading. We know the government is a listening government, and we are pleading to his aid to come to our aid and help us.
The assemblyman for the area, Joseph Niankra, says several efforts to resolve the problem have failed. He is calling for the construction of a proper drainage system to bring relief to the community.
Me being an assembly member, I have written to feeder roads and urban roads for them to come to our aid with this drainage system because Media is a community that is facing serious flooding issue. So we are appealing with them to come to our aid. Other than that, people will continue to suffer. People have lost their properties due to this flooding. So we are pleading with them to come to our end and construct a proper drainage system for us.
While some residents have been able to relocate, those without the means to leave remain trapped in these harsh conditions, battling mosquitoes and infections daily. For Joy News, Auditor-General, Media.
Well, that's a beautiful report to put together by Auditor-General. And we'll keep tabs on that area to find out how residents are coping. Now, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority is set to release the 2026 DV number plate from Monday ahead of parliamentary approval. The rollout will also precede the full implementation of the controversial RFID-enabled vehicle number plate system. The authority says the release of the DV plate forms part of transitional arrangement while processes continue toward the rollout of the new vehicle registration regime. Michelle Latte has more.
Beginning Monday, the 2026 DV number plates will start rolling out, marking a step forward as the DVLA awaits parliamentary approval for the full implementation of the RFID-enabled vehicle registration system. Addressing a press conference, the Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at the DVLA, Kafui Semefo, said the plates will continue to use the old registration format even as preparations advance for the new system. According to him, the plates will be issued exclusively to fleet dealers and not to individual vehicle owners.
We announced before the beginning of this year that there is some grace period. However, we also said that because the process to amend the law is not completed, the old law is still in existence, we asked for some grace period. We are releasing the DV plates by Monday. We have gone ahead to continue with the old format of registration, so those who want to register are actually registering. So we have not deprived the public the opportunity to use their vehicles or to register.
The DVLA also urged vehicle owners to take part in the ongoing nationwide onboarding exercise as the authority prepares to introduce the new vehicle registration system. It warned that from 2027 onward, vehicles that have not been onboarded and pre-registered will not be permitted to operate on the road.
Now, when we start the new number plate, it's going to run up to the end of 2027, when we are expecting to have roll on everybody into the new system. So if beyond 2027 you've not done onboarding and re-registered your vehicle, then you cannot be on the roads. So we are encouraging you. For now, we don't have a deadline for onboarding. It's an ongoing process. We are encouraging everybody to take advantage of our offices and then visit the office and get your vehicle onboarded.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of DVLA, Julius Nikwe Kote, disclosed that the authority has received clearance from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to undertake the issuance of licenses in 5 countries.
Just yesterday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, signed for the DVLA to undertake these projects in 5 countries. These are the countries. We have the United States of America, United Kingdom, we have Canada, Germany, and Netherlands. So these 5 countries will witness DVLA's presence. So I will do license issues over there for them.
The DVLA says these measures form part of efforts to modernize vehicle registration, strengthen road safety, and streamline operations. For Joy News, Michelle Lati.
Well, access to potable water in 8 communities within the Ekumfi district of the Central Region is expected to improve significantly following a sword cutting ceremony for the construction of 8 mechanized boreholes. The initiative, led by the Member of Parliament and the District Chief Executive, Ismail Nana Asamoah, forms part of projects under the District Assembly's Common Fund aimed at addressing pressing developmental needs in the area.
Mama kind aya na yenyinara yabo modern yadempabo that honorable nature.
For Tuam, Accra, Isachur, and 7 other beneficiary communities in the Ekumfi district of the Central Region, the sword cutting ceremony for a 3-unit classroom block, a 2-unit classroom block, and 8 mechanized boreholes represents renewed hope for improved access to quality education and portable water. According to the District Chief Executive for Ekumfi, Ismail Nana Asamoah, the projects are being undertaken under the government's formulae for the utilization of the District Assembly's Common Fund, aimed at addressing critical developmental needs at the grassroots level.
We've been working closely on sanitation issues, and by the grace of God, significantly we've improved the sanitation issues in the district. And projects are not just cited, and they are not just based on community promises. They go through rudimentary, more or less selection processes. And so wherever we've gone, you heard the chiefs applauding
the project, because that is actually a project they have been long yearning for. And so today is definitely a very, very significant. And for the very, very first time, rather in four years, Ekumfi never saw close to 1 million Ghana cedis in the entire 4 years. But just 8 or a little even into 9 months in office, this NDC government has bequeathed into the Ekumfi Assembly close to over 10 million Ghana cedis. And so this is definitely something that is worth applauding.
Activities for the day also saw the Member of Parliament for Ekumfi, Othni Olekokwenu, inspecting the ongoing expansion works on the Ekumfi-Sachor Bridge being executed under government's big push agenda. He lauded government for the intervention.
This is a very important bridge which has lasted for over 30 years. And today, the big push has finally come with a view of creating another bridge in addition to this old one, because this one has served a very important purpose. It serves a lot of communities, to Ejumako, to Enyan, to Kumasi. All those people use this road. The government has seen the essence and the need to reconstruct a new bridge to help the traveling public to be able to go smoothly. I, as MP for Ekumfi, I want to thank the President sincerely for this marvelous work he's doing. In fact, Mr. President, you are doing so much for Ghana and Ekumfi, and I believe that this is just the beginning and just the tip of the iceberg. We are grateful for today, and we thank especially Dr. Kesela Tufosi, who also is my neighboring constituency, for this beautiful work that is also contributing to make happen.
From Ekumfi, Abigail Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
So the Volta region now, where road network of the South Nile district in the region is expected to see a facelift following the awarding of contract to various firms under the Big Push project. Approximately 24 kilometers of feeder roads in the district have been awarded and are currently under construction, while an additional 40 kilometers will be packaged and awarded for construction under the second phase of the road rehabilitation project. We've captured more in this report by Fred Kwame Asari.
The Member of Parliament for South Dine and Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, led officials of the Ghana Highways Authority to inspect the progress of work on the 17.7 kilometers to Dumekpali-Mejameni roads. The team also inspected works on the 6.3 kilometers of roads in Mejameni Township, which would see the clearing of some structures erected in areas demarcated for roads. Mr. Dafiamekpo appreciated the progress of work by Messiah Senam Ghana Limited and emphasized the significant contribution of good roads to economic development.
The transformation. This is what we call transformation. Everybody wants his neighborhood transformed. And when the neighborhoods are transformed, he has, in development studies, we call them growth poles. They have their way of attracting other developmental projects themselves. When there's a good road, tourism facilities spring up. People build hotels, they build restaurants, they build guest houses, they build good hospitals because the roads are in a good shape. So
it is disclosed that some 40 kilometers of road networks in the district would also be awarded under the second phase of the Big Push project.
We are doing. So the phase 2 of this project will be Chate to Chibu, 5 kilometers. Then Kweve to Kweve Tonu, that is the Kweve headwaters, also 5 kilometers. Then we'll do Anum to Jake, it's also 5 kilometers. And then Gemenia JB. So, we are going to do then Pekitan roads, and then Abui Chita, so, and then 2 town roads, Dugan town roads, Atoklokpo, Chinese road, Todoma itself, the Palace road for Togwe Yeku, then Pekitan roads about 10 kilometers in all. So we are going to have another 40 kilometers of the phase 2. This is 24 kilometers, but the phase 2 will be about 40 kilometers.
The District Chief Executive for South Dine stressed the government's promise to open up the country with good road networks.
and to thank the government, His Excellency the President, and the good people of South Dine for their patience. This road has been in a terrible situation for a long time now, like my MP said. But thank God, with the coming of GM, just barely a year ago, we have all seen what has been done so far. I want to commend the contractor. I've always been with them. They are doing a good job. And it's our prayer that by the close of this year, the people of South Dine will heave a sigh of relief for the construction of this road. So
residents are in anticipation of the economic prospects and trade opportunities that will be available when the roads are completed. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Todume.
Now, Ghana is moving to scale up its health security systems as it targets an upgrade from the World Health Organization's Level 3 preparedness rating, following findings from the World Health Organization-led assessment that highlighted both progress made and critical gaps in the country's readiness to respond to public health emergencies. The latest findings were disclosed at the opening of a 3-day workshop here in Accra. The assessment forms part of the joint external evaluation, a voluntary process under the international health regulations that measures countries' capacities to prevent, detect, and respond to public health threats. Rodelin Abensa has more in this report.
Held under the theme Prioritization Workshop on the National Action Plan for Health Security, the workshop brought together key health sector stakeholders to review preparedness levels and agree on priority actions to strengthen the country's response systems. Speaking in an interview, Infectious Hazard Management Officer at the World Health Organization, Patrick Avevo, revealed that of the 90 technical areas assessed in Ghana's latest joint external evaluation, about 50% are now at level 3, up from 40% in the previous evaluation.
We have seen improvement across a lot of the technical areas. When we look back in the 2017 JEE, so there are 5 levels of capacities: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then level 5. We see now that about 50% of the 19 technical areas are level 3, compared to about 40% in the past JEE. So we've seen an improvement, but when you think about it, that there are 5 levels and 50% of our technical areas are in level 3, it tells you there's still more room for us to improve.
Patrick Avevo revealed that despite notable improvements across several technical areas, significant gaps remain, prompting the launch of a 5-year national action plan to advance Ghana's capacities toward 4 and 5.
But in the past, we've seen some lapses in this, which we hope that we can be able to work with the government to strengthen. So for each of the 19 technical areas, we are expected to look at where we are now and over the next 5 years, project where we want to get to. And then using the framework of the assessment document, determine that we need to implement 1, 2, 3 to get to a certain level. So they are very varied depending on the technical areas. If you're able to do this, you'll be able to, for example, move from level 1 to level 3 or 4. So those are some of the things that we hope to see on the ground.
The program is being rolled out at a time when Ghana's health system continues to face a complex disease burden, including infectious diseases, rising non-communicable diseases, and the growing threat of antimicrobial resistance. Officials say while the country is better prepared today than it was before COVID-19, sustained reforms and investment will be crucial to protecting public health in the years ahead. Health authorities say the success of the new program would depend on strong coordination, adequate funding, and political commitment to ensure Ghana remains prepared for future public health emergencies. Rodelin Abenses reports, read to you.
To our first story now, Jubilee Field ended 2025 with an average daily production of about 59,000 barrels. This update was captured in Cosmos Energy's operational update for last year. We have details in a following report.
To some observers, an average daily production of about 60,000 barrels from the Jubilee Field after 11 years of production may not be good enough. However, players on the field are upbeat about production picking up strongly in the coming month. This is due to the fact that some new oil wells have come on board. Initial estimates project that daily production could reach 70,000 barrels well before the end of the year. The partners on the Jubilee field are also putting in place other measures that will help production improve significantly by the end of the year. Key among them is the Plan of Development Agreement, which is currently awaiting Parliament approval. Some of these partners believe it could also help in attracting fresh and significant investment into Ghana's oil sector.
Well, senior lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Dr. Eric Boakye-Yadom, has expressed cautious optimism about Ghana's interest rate, stating that it will take a while before they begin to drop drastically. Dr. Yadom argues that while there are indications of easing inflationary pressures, the pace of interest rate reductions may be gradual. He spoke to Joy Business.
How long depends on the confidence that they have in the policy rate. That is why any policy rate that you are offering, it should reflect the general dynamics in the economy. But where there's skepticism as to whether indeed the rate should go down, because mind you, if rate goes down, then people rush to come for loans, and the rate go high again, it's likely to affect borrowers that may be doing a floating rate, So the confidence in the economy is what will cause commercial banks to be able to bring it down. Most often, the central bank may end up appealing to commercial banks to bring their rates down, but it's more of business, that you don't want to also bring it so down to a point where it may affect your general operations. So the wait and see attitude will continue to persist until a certain level of confidence, businesses or commercial banks get that level of confidence they expect to see in the economy.
That's all in business updates, but we'll end with what's trending on the commodities market. After, we'll bring you the AM Sports. Do stay on. All right, welcome back to the AM show. Time for us to deal with matters arising this morning. We'll be joined by Kojo Pokun. He's Executive Director, Insta PR, and a member of the NPP and a leading member of the Dr. Bawumia campaign team. Kwame Asante is a political scientist with the University of Ghana. He is joining us via Zoom. But, of course, we'll start with what the papers are reporting. And MFA Akosia Adeti is standing by the smart wall. Hi, MFA. Good morning.
Hello there, Hunter Pili. How are you?
I'm well. Okay. Yourself?
Not bad, thank you for asking.
I'm well. Women are beautiful.
Are they not?
And sometimes...
On behalf of all women, I want to say thank you.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes I get shocked why... Okay, anyway, let's leave it. Let's talk about that thing.
Yeah. Well, let me bring you what's happening in front of the newspapers. A quick wrap of that. The Custodian this morning says that NPP to sack traitors starts with Frimpong Boateng. I'm sure you know how this has developed after he granted that interview on Channel 1 TV. The party then issued a statement and said that they are starting internal processes to expel him. I think that he says he's not going anywhere or not. But
no, but he says he doesn't see himself as a member of the so what is the fake MPP, of course? So if they expel him, he says he doesn't see himself as a member again.
When you expel him, are you then accepting that where you're expelling him from is a fake one? This is a very interesting turn and twist because.
But is there anything like a fake MPP?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's either you belong or
you don't. I get that. I see how that will pan out in days. But Supreme Court rules on Pandai on January 28th. I think you as well have been following that. There have been real constitutional issues over there. Yeah. And if you read the development as of yesterday, one of the judges was actually asking the lawyer for the embattled MP that the forum where they are to argue their matter, would it be the right one? He also argued his point, but I'm quite curious and ready to see what the Supreme Court will say on 28th of January. We want to follow that keenly. Well, no room for tribal religious divisions in MPP. Tampili has been speaking. Experts raises concerns.
But on there, when some Christians can look in the face of another person and say, we don't want to get let a Muslim lead a country? Is that not bigotry? Is that not religious bigotry?
I honestly, I only hear that,
Exactly.
just conversation. I do not hear the church leaders. I do not hear those who, of course, freedom of religion, but it's also guided by their own religious rules and principles. I don't hear the leaders of the church themselves say this. The question you should ask is, are the people who are saying this, does it really affect the overall election or decision making? The last time I had a conversation with Atacha, he says that they have data to show that it doesn't affect it. Why? Because you have persons who are Christians, but they have won in a very heavily Muslim dominated constituencies and the other way around. And so data may override sentiment. Again, we'll look at that.
So I think that it's something that should be out of our discussions. After all, you and I, we are one.
Yeah, of course.
Despite the fact that we may be coming from different regions or even religious backgrounds, it shouldn't be something that divides us at all.
I totally agree. I totally agree, Kujo. The custodian as well, above tribe, beyond religion, across regions. Let's win with Dr. Baumia. That is in front of the custodian. And behind the custodian, BOG's $10 billion CD defense in 2025. They've been providing the trade-offs at the back of the custodian. You can grab a copy. Daily Guide this morning again, Pandai Rerun Challenge. Supreme Court decides January 28. You will get the details if you grab a copy. And also, police sees 1,613 parcels of narcotics. Story is in the Daily Guide. And Oforiatta faces immigration judge January 20. By now you know this, that January 20 we'll get to know where this will progress. Over the period and over the days, we've been trying to give you the analysis of his chances of non-deportation and giving you the margin under this, under the Trump administration, how many people have successfully not been deported if they argue their case in court. Be a good one. I particularly admire the lawyers he's working with.
Oh, that team of lawyers. I mean, when you look at their profiles.
Totally.
But this is coming out of the interview that was held on PM Express on, I think, Monday. Yes.
Well, yeah.
Story is coming out of that particular interview.
Yes. Human trafficking syndicates busted, 48 victims rescued. I think it's still the same.
This was done in Volta region.
But it will not be about the QNet one.
No, this one. Okay.
I think it's the same story.
Because in that story, they said they arrested 8 persons who were doing that. They had tricked the victims under pretense of securing foreign travels for them.
So the 48 victims that were rescued are the same 48 victims that were rescued. And and a romance scam, Abutrika, 2 others, a fate hang. I think I have seen an update by Oliver Baka Vamawo.
Yeah, so it's on this story.
Yes.
The fact that the
2 others.
Yes, how do you call them? Those who prosecute on the part of the state. What's their names?
Prosecutors?
Yeah. So they came to court to say that they are dropping the charges against 2 people because from their investigations, those 2 people must go. Then Abutrika's lawyers then said that because the 3 of them were charged for conspiracy, if you are letting the 2 go, let Abutrika also go. But the judge said, well, I can't have this on my head. According to Oliver Bakavamo, I'll wait for the substantive judge to come and rule on the matter. And that's why they've adjourned this particular ruling on the matter.
Interesting. Real interesting. Anyway, the Chronicle again is reporting on quash the High Court's judgment, but Justice Foreman questions reliance on Article 99, which is what I was trying to draw your attention to. We all wait for January 28. And police...
The chairman is the lead of that team.
That I don't know if he's in lead, but yeah. So police in landmark arrest, man goes in for 20 years, alleged rapist remanded. Okay. Story is in the Chronicle. And vote for Kennedy Japan, Chifo Heman.
Chifo Heman.
MP urges delegates. My favorite time on the Chronicle will be Psalm 102 verse 17. He will respond to the prayer of the destitute. he will not despise their plea.
So is this related to
I've been teaching you, I've been telling you that. What is
is it related to Bandai?
No, there are many headlines over here.
You said the big story.
No,
that's what you said yesterday.
No, I'm saying that look at the stories in front of the paper.
Okay.
Do an imputation and see which one it fits.
Is Yindam's own?
Is that what you're...
Because look, it says Yindam prays Supreme Court. He will respond to the prayer of the destitute. He will not despise their prayer.
That's why their hands up. I'm rough. The Chronicle: Nigeria faces host nation Morocco in AFCON semis. That's the update. Kojo, my poor vision. The other one you want to?
Senegal and Egypt lock horns in Tangier. Tangier is where is one of the states that the AFCON is being hosted.
Okay. The Accra Times: the Ghana we want is achievable. President Mahama has been speaking. Be bold in your thinking. UNIMAC Vice Chancellor urges students. I will just. NPA boss speaks at 77th New Year School and Conference. You want to look at? Okay, that's the one that happened at the University of Ghana. Okay, I will quickly. The publisher NPP fed up with Frimpong Boate and initiate move to expel him. Nato Shitu NPP delegates only can deliver 2028 victory. And governance analyst flags issues at myth. You want to follow that carefully, just opposing it with our report our investigative piece by Kwete Nati.
This story is referring to the many high-ranking officials who have left MEF when she assumed, and the writer is saying that goes beyond just people resigning.
Absolutely.
So people should...
Okay, Economy Times: Ghana to issue 10 billion infrastructure bond in 2026. And that, Ghana's economic stability, gold bonds contribution for reliant growth. There you go. We'll take you to myjoyonline.com. Well, losing 2028 elections would be catastrophic. Nitiwo wants NPP against first-timer gamble. That is on the portals. Top story.
Also, we have no time to market anyone else. Nitiwo says MPP's 2028 ticket is already Baumia's, and that's making a case for why Dr. Mahmoud Baumia must be maintained on January 31. Again, Baumia focused on delegates, not rivals. Dr. Dominic Nitiwo there, and that's coming out of the interaction or the exclusive interview that the former defense minister had with Evans Mensah on PM Express on Tuesday. He should ask himself why he entered politics. Nitiwo responds to Frimpong Boateng. Baumia has no threat. Nitiwo says campaign is not about running others down. There are a lot of stories on the front page there. Nyahonya Watamoklo is there as well. It says MPP should have invited Professor Frimpong Boateng for a chat over fake party comment. So that's also the viewpoint of one of people who consider themselves as a founding member of the party, Nyaho Tamaklo, there to the party. So let's see how that goes. But go there and get details of the stories on myjoyonline.com. Well, let's sit down now and get into the issues. I already introduced Kojo to you. Wanda Madilo is a development consultant and a member of the NDC's communications team. Wanda, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Trust you good?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Kojo, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm well, bro.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. Many happy returns. Thank you. Okay. Dr. Sasanti, I know you are there. Good morning to you. Hope all is well. Dr. Santi, okay. When we do get him finally, we'll get to that. MF.
Yes. Today I'm just here to give the moral support. I personally enjoy the conversations we have with Kojo when he's getting mic'd before we come on. Yeah, those are for personal ears and all. I just want to put on the record there. I totally love those conversations before. So
what conversation is that?
A lot of it. A lot of it. Could you please?
You know, that's why it's called off-camera.
Very much.
Off-camera conversation. And you know, unfortunately, we've had instances in the Western world where there are hot mics, right?
Yes,
when
yes.
People didn't know that their mics are still live, and they say things when the viewers can hear, and it's become a big issue. You know, Gordon Brown had, the big one is Gordon Brown, when he had he was out campaigning and met this constituent and had a conversation, but then I appreciate the confrontation But when he got into the car, he didn't know his mic was still on.
Oh dear.
He basically said certain things that got him into a lot of trouble during the campaign. But that's off-camera conversation.
Very much.
That's why it's called off-camera.
I agree with you. Could you please proceed? Let's talk about the one that we can talk on.
So we shouldn't bring it here.
No. It's just me telling people that they are nice conversations. Yeah.
One day we'll bring them behind the scenes.
You never know.
Maybe one day you can do the behind the scenes shots of PM show.
We will.
Okay.
Wonder, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Did your year start good?
Say that again.
Did your year start really good?
Oh yeah, very well.
It's looking like your grey is becoming more. The last time
I just decided to leave it. I've always been on
Yomo.
I don't know about Yomo, I know about colors. So
okay.
Time I've decided to leave it for a while.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, could you please?
I think we should start with Pandai, and then we come into the NACA issues. Now, Supreme Court says they're going to give judgment on 28th January. Now, if you look, you add 1 to 3. Maybe in law you cannot really do that, but what do you make of how the court is handling this particular matter, and what does it portend to the parties involved?
Well, I want to say good morning to Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and congratulations to him in finishing the Northern Region and the Savannah campaign. He's coming down and will start Ashanti tomorrow, hopefully, God willing. And I hope it goes well. The Republic of Ashanti starts tomorrow. So hopefully we are all heading there to give him the moral support that
this job will be difficult, huh?
Yes, it's definitely. But look,
too difficult.
Let's go into the Supreme Court. I think I sat here and I gave everybody the information that as filed at the Supreme Court by Gary Nimako, Esquire. And it's a very clear case of either the Supreme Court reverse itself or the Supreme Court uphold itself. Okay? The central part of this case is the date of when the election was gazetted.
Yeah.
Now, Pandai was gazetted in the same date as the one that Ernest, the court ruled for Ernest. Was that one? Eastern Region.
Oh, Ernest Kumi.
Ernest Kumi. What was that constituency again?
Akwetia.
Akwetia, yes. So in the Akwetia case, the Supreme Court held that the gazetted date, and you know, Akwetia and Pandai were gazetted on the same date, right? According to the Gazette, they were both gazetted on the same date. And the Supreme Court held that the December date is the right gazette date.
In the Ernest Akwetia
In the Ernest, yes, in the Akwetia case.
Okay.
Okay? Now, come to the Pandai case. The guy go to court and relies on the 6th January gazetted case and say that, look, I am within time and I have not breached, I have not gone over the 21 days stipulated. And the MPP and the Gary, led by Gary, is saying that, look, my lords, look at what you have ruled, right? You ruled in the Ernest Kumi case saying that this is the right gazetted. And the right gazette is the December date. So if you go by your own ruling in the Ernest Kumi at the Supreme Court Akwetia case, then it's clear. It's clear as day. So really and truly, for us, we are very confident that the Supreme Court will rule in our favor because we have a good case. And you remember, as my sister Mefa said, some of the judges actually asked questions to the lawyers. Yeah, and I've read that the Chief Justice Kolendi,
Justice
Kolendi asked a question to the other lawyer that why is he relying on certain information without cross-checking? Okay, because if they have double-checked the gazetted, he would have found out that the date of the gazette is this, and that question came up. And I think the lawyer answered. Supreme Court is an interesting place. There's always dissenting views, and there's always the views that basically carries the day. We're going to get a ruling on the 28th of this month, and it's going to be a very interesting ruling to read. For me, I think that the Supreme Court would not rescind its own decision because they would want continuity and they would uphold their own previous decision of saying that the gazetted is the December date, not the January date, which means that there's whole trial that went on in Tamale will be squashed.
Okay. Quite an interesting analysis there. I didn't know of the reliance of the December one in the Nescumi case.
Yes.
Because if that is it,
it is one of the attachments, and the case relied on by Gary to basically prove his basically the filing that he did in the Supreme Court. That's one of the things that he relied on.
Okay, all right. Wanda?
No, nothing to say. We won't speculate. The truth will be out very soon. I mean, 20th, what date?
28th.
28th is very close. It's not a problem at all. We're patient enough for the judiciary to do their job. I think when the ruling came, I mean, all parties were making preparations. Save the MPP who said that they were not going there and that they were going to court. However, we've seen them working in the constituency. But however, that is not even the issue. We're waiting for 28th. The ruling will come and then we'll progress. But I can assure them that that is a seat they will never win.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say they will never win, it means that the court is going to uphold the terminal court.
I have a right to be confident of my case. And my case is that there should be a rerun. And so we are not bothered about that. We know that the facts will be out. The date, this debate about the date is a debate we don't want to go in, because when this case started at the High Court, when the initial filings were made, questions were raised, the petitioners withdrew the case and brought it back. So all this business about time, dates, and all that, yes, it's okay to make some of those assumptions, but the Supreme Court will take a decision on the matter, and we'll see clarity at the end of the day. We won't gag the judiciary. We'll trust that they will do a decent job, and that will serve this country well. That's all.
Okay.
However, work is ongoing.
Work is ongoing?
Yeah.
As in campaigning?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing that.
So you're constructing roads and what have you in Pandai now?
We don't need to construct roads. I thought we had year of roads throughout the 8 years. Which roads are there to construct? If they have done the roads, what is there again to fix? So we're doing our job. We're telling the people what they deserve. We're telling them they deserve a better governance of this country. They deserve better life. They deserve to know the truth. They deserve a government without corruption issues, a government that has not taken them to the downrooms, a government that won't be called fake in the end by one of their own. So it's not a problem. We'll go into this election.
Hey, how many by-elections are there? I think
quite a number.
About 3 of them, right?
Yeah, this one, if it goes through, and
then there's another one.
I remember.
Yeah, yesterday I saw that. I was like, hey, yes, I have a lot of by-elections. Anyway, do we have Dr. Asasanti on the line? Okay, Doc, I want to come to you to pick your thought on this development, where the Supreme Court says they would deliver their judgment on Pandai rerun on the January 28th, but they are still barring the EC from conducting anything in relation to a rerun. What is your own reading of the situation?
Fair that once there's an issue and the court comes in, I expect that my practice is that I wait for the Supreme Court to take a decision. Once they take a decision, we'll follow.
Okay. All right, so it's good. Let's end it here. Well, but let me start the NACA issue with you. You are a teacher. When you heard that in that teacher manual, they've introduced a definition for gender which is not in tandem with our cultural values and our beliefs in this country. And the fact that because of that, NACA says they will withdrawn these teacher manuals. What's your own read? What did you make of that particular development? After NACA did it, I think in 2017, 2018, there were complaints, and it's been repeated again this time around.
It's unfortunate. It means that there's a problem with the quality of assurance. Quality assurance, there's a problem. Because when you go through even NACA process, there was a time we put in application to write one of the textbooks, the history book. We went through ordeal, a lot of things, requirement, do this, do that. So I'm surprised that they who always set the bar high really fell short of their standards. But the good news is that they have noticed it. They have to correct it as soon as possible. But the question is, if you are withdrawing, look at the volume of material you are withdrawing. Is it financial loss? I don't know.
But I mean, yes, it's good they are withdrawing, but it was someone's vigilance that led us there, which means that if no one saw it, it would have gone. So must it just be recall, or someone there must be told that you did a poor job? It must be held accountable.
Obviously, there's somebody who has to be answerable to this, because we use state money to print this, and people were put in place to make sure that they go through the process as required of the standard of NACA. So what went wrong? It means somebody slept over his work. And what we have out there is the product of that lack of vigilance and the proper supervision and coordination. So obviously, NACA cannot absolve itself from this. They have to be ready to answer that. That is a fact.
Okay. Let me come to studio.
Yeah, my brother, this issue I have said over and over, and many a time I get very frustrated when I sit on multiple platforms and say some of these things, and nobody listens, right? But we are in a world that things are being sneaked subliminally, right? And this gender thing, if you go online now, and I just did that. I mean, Oxford definition of gender online, right? And the AI overview says that Oxford defines gender as the social and cultural differences between male and female, focusing on roles and identities beyond biology, but also recognizing it broadly as a spectrum of identities not fitting the male and female binary, including transgender and third genders.
That's coming from a jurisdiction that accepts that.
But that's the point.
Why should that be
the point? Is English is dynamic, and we all at a point will go to a certain focal point to look at the meaning of a word, right? And when you are teaching and kids needs to find the meaning of things, you will tell them gender is male and female. But progressively, the authority of the English language is now redefining the word. So in the other jurisdiction that you call on, they have now redefined what gender is, that gender no longer means only male and female. So if we in Ghana, when we have a Ministry of Gender, and I brought this up, any of my colleagues, when we had the Dr. Baumia Manifesto meeting, I brought it up that, look, we should be very careful with this gender, because when you use gender and you don't define it in your context, the broader context of gender no longer means man and woman.
So we'll define it.
So we need, so I'm saying, so every time we use gender, it should be defined in our context.
This is what happened.
That's what I'm saying. They define gender, but in the other context.
Yes.
Thank you. So if you leave it and nobody spotted it, what would have happened? Because bear in mind, it is not in the textbook. It is in the teacher manual. So the teachers are being oriented that the word gender no longer means male and female. So if he comes across a textbook that now talks about gender, him or her teaching the kids will now do what? Tell the kids that gender is now a broader definition than just male and female. And if that kid goes online to search for gender definition, they are now fed the now newer meaning. So what has been done? Our traditional definition of gender has been washed away. And at a point, we will now get to where somebody will now challenge it in court. That, let's go to the Supreme Court to get interpretation. Depending on the panel you have and how they also go and interpret the gender meaning, looking at the progressive nature of where the word is now, you have a problem on your hand. So in Parliament, you realize that in every act, you have the definitions section, right? Where every word used in the act is defined. We really need to stick to that. if we just blink for 1 minute, we have a problem. Because the wider world, UNICEF, all these international bodies are basically trying to sneak things into our curriculums and every single little thing. International books. Look, we are not writing a lot of books in Ghana. We are importing a lot of books. And all these now, DSTV and all these things is becoming a problem. If you're a parent and you're letting your kids watch certain cartoons without parental guidance, the sort of education being given to your kids. So they are really saying that, look, okay, there is a lost colloquial generation. Let's leave them. Let's brainwash and bring out these kids to have a liberal way of thinking. And by the time they are in their 50s and 60s, the rest is history. So that's the problem. I'm grateful we spotted it, but it means that we have to be on our mark 24/7.
Wonder, I mean, we've said no, but this keeps coming. What must we do now going forward to ensure that, I mean, we don't see this again? Or have we gotten to a point where we say, well, let's be progressive, let's move on?
No, I don't.
First of all, does he agree to the definition of gender?
In the manual.
Is anything wrong?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Is anything wrong with the definition?
A lot is wrong. Growing up, what we knew was sex. You're filling a form, you get it when you say sex. Then in recent times, you see
gender.
And that's what complicated all this definition of what is what. Because as a science student, what I knew is sex. Male, female. There's not.
We didn't have any intermediary.
Yes, and if it's really biological, then it should be sex, not gender. You don't find the word gender in biology, but you find sexes. So even in terms of chromosomes, you say Y chromosomes, the X chromosomes. That's how we understood it to mean. But we know that there is an influence of foreign culture, which has been pervasive for some time now, and they are persistent. But for Donald Trump, we would have gotten to a very worse state now, because they were getting to that crescendo where they were now ready to launch out. They had NGOs that were working actively, protecting whatever gender activists, they call it. There's another one in the US, they actually had...
Gender lobbyists?
No, this past government actually had a whole institution that was promoting...
USAID?
No, not the USAID. No, they had I remember, in the US. And Donald Trump came by and closed down all of those, nonsense. They were spending so much, about $500 million yearly around the world was being pushed around for gender activists. You remember the word gender activists and all this business? Eventually, it turned out that it was more of this LGBTQ promotion and conscientization. There are secret offices. They operated through, conduits like school infrastructure, where they built a washroom. They have male, female, then they have others or whatever. And it was gradually gaining momentum. And we didn't see that. I mean, there are some dark places in this country. If you want to see, go to places like, I don't want to mention names, but there are places in this country where you enter and the whole, lounge or pub is gay. And there are places you also enter is all lesbians and all that. So we need to take not just some of these steps, because we are lucky this is for teachers manual, not even for the students. But that's a gradual conscientization. When the teacher is bought into, he can feed the others. Exactly. And that's where we have to be careful. Then the other thing is that we're allowing our children to go to schools that we don't know the values of the schools. Most of the foreign schools in this country, you can't tell exactly what their position on this matter is. And so they're very liberal.
Mr. Fuamoni said same on Top Story yesterday. And he went ahead to accuse some of these schools.
Yes, and they are beginning to be very liberal. I'm very particular. I go to the school, I want to see what's your infrastructure for male and female. There are clubs in this country that when you enter, the washroom is both open. It's open. You can enter any and get out. And all that. So we need to take a conscious step from our traditional authorities, from the local government authorities, from the state as a whole. And this is one of it, flagging some of these things as quickly as possible and also ensuring discipline. Yesterday, I saw on video some schools, a girl, a lady, a young girl and a young guy dancing with video. She was fondling the breast and all that. And this is a secondary school, as it were. So I wrote on that, this is the time to hand over some of these schools back to the missions. You see, we are taking religion, because none of our religions endorse this liberality.
None.
Islam, Christianity, we don't. Even our traditional, we don't. And so if you take religion out of education in Africa, these are some of the problems you have. You now have schools that say that, oh, we don't need to go for morning devotion. We used to go to morning devotion those days, and it was part of character building, and all that. So we need that conscious approach as a country, and we have to be definite, we have to be sure, and we need to keep an eye on some of these things. If it will cause the government to set up a body that regulates some of these things, we need to do it. If not, we're gradually losing our kids to all these social vices and temptations of being whatever. There are saloons, she's a lady, there are saloons in this country that you go to, and those plaiting the hair are male, but you can see all the signs of, yes, and they're so proud about it and dancing and doing all their, excuse me.
So let me push back a bit.
It's nasty.
For these people who have that feminine mannerism, or for a better description, you say they are in touch with their feminine side. Can we draw the line?
They're defining gender.
Well, the point is that
they are acting it.
We've always had the Kojo Besiers among us.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they are gay.
Yes.
Right.
That I'm sure is nothing new. There are certain things that we've lived with for a very long time, right? And the Kojo Besiers is one of them. Nobody really does anything about it. And I think certain things have festered in this country for a long time, and I think everybody basically saw it as a normal thing. Soupy, right? Is it new?
But how many people even know the soupy thing?
No, everybody knows the soupy thing.
Right.
Everybody that went to secondary school knows soupy.
I doubt they would have the same terminology.
They have more progressive names for it. But in our time, in our days, sorry?
No, I was asking if she went to a girls' school.
No, the girls' school.
I'm asking which one.
What name did you guys have for it when you were in school?
I heard soupy as well, but I'm wondering, is it the same term that they used
maybe today they might.
Maybe it was different.
Maybe largely.
Maybe
largely
they'll use something else.
Okay.
But I'm saying that in the girls' school or even the mixed school, the female pals thing has never been a thing where it was frowned on, right? Some headmistresses will ban tents in, because some girls will have tents and some in the dormitories and stuff like that. And some house mistresses were very strict. This goes way back, right?
Yeah.
So those things have been with us, and some headmistresses were very strict in banning some of these things in the school. And when you have, like my brother is saying, a video of girls dancing and all those things, we've really never frowned deeply on those things. And it has festered to a point. But now it is really not just about just those things.
Yes.
It's now moving to a different
endorsement.
And one of the things I keep saying is that there's a lot of gay men in this country, both in the closet and out of the closet. It's a topic that nobody wants to talk about it, but trust me, if you see there are some openly gay social media influencers, right? Go onto their Facebook and their social media handles, and they are like one of the main influencers in this country, right? And they are gay, openly gay. Now, I ask myself, how does a culture that we have, some of the top influencers that we have on social media are gay?
So isn't it time then for us to go ahead with that law that will define for us what we know to be?
You see, that's where we've played politics with it. Unfortunately, we've played politics with it. My brother, what's his name?
Sam George.
Sam George is now the Numaya Mentor on Kasak. The man who swore heaven and earth that he's going to make sure that the law is passed. Where is Sam George today? Sam George actually went from Ghana to an event in Kenya or one of the Eastern African countries and create ripples. This is a man that was very passionate about LGBT law and all that. And I read something about him on BBC when some sponsors of an event he went to had to come and basically apologize to some of the statements that he gave. So Sam George was beginning to become the poster boy of an anti-LGBT thing. And we're all proud of him. Today, where is Sam George? You know what I'm saying? Was it politics? Was really Sam George passionate about what he was doing, or it was mere politics? Because we don't hear about Sam George.
But looking at where we are today, where we're even having to pay particular attention to what is sent to our schools, must we not, as a people, come together to say it's time that this goes beyond just the politics? But
I want to pass that question to Dr. Asante.
I want to push it to Madilo, then I'll bring it to Dr. Asante.
Yeah, say that again.
That is it not time that we put behind us the differences in political alignment and say that we want to defend our cultural identity, and so this law, we all have to back it and get it done?
Yeah, I think that we need a bipartisan approach to dealing with this matter. And that is also why when the new president took over, he's taking steps to make sure that there's a buy-in of everybody. It's not just going to be a people's representative
private members bill,
but it will be something that the state can actually take up on its own. Because there are actually cost implications. If you look at the act very well, they were going to set up a body that will regulate, as it were, some of these issues. So I feel, or I still do believe that is the way to go. We need a bipartisan approach, and we shouldn't go after individuals. For instance, this Sam George issue, we've heard it over and over. He's come to deny it and all that, but it's still on and on and on. And that he's complicit in some of the issues that are coming up. He says no.
We're not saying he's complicit. All we are saying is that the energy Sam George had before. No, my brother, let's define it. I know, I'll give you a minute. I know. But I'm saying that let's nobody's saying he's complicit. I supported Sam George when he was doing that. Because I felt the energy and I felt that, look, this is a man that we support in doing this. I'm saying that, why has he stopped?
No, he hasn't stopped.
He has. No, my brother, let's move on.
Sam George hasn't stopped. At the time, they were now going through the process of the private members bill. And so there was a lot of advocacy. They went to do town hall meetings. That phase is over. What is needed now is the law. And so the supposed quietness that you hear and all that is not because they have lost steam. It is because where they are now is the passage of the bill. You remember the work we have to do for this bill to be passed. You remember your own government refused to sign this. They even issued letters and banning people from bringing them and all that. No, once that parliament has expired, you will need to bring it back.
So bring it back and let's go.
And that's what we're doing now. That's what we're doing now. So a little bit of patience will suffice.
Kojo, let's go on Zoom. And the question I want to ask Dr. Asante is, should we accept the explanation from the board chair of NACA saying that it's an oversight? Why? Because Kojo is just drawing our attention now. Kojo is just drawing our attention that if you take the dictionary and you check the definition of gender, it has the same expression as we've seen in this manual that has come out. So it's not that they were writing and then it was a mistake. It's not that it was written and it doesn't reflect the general accepted source, where if you want a definition for a word, because today is gender, it could be another word.
But I disagree with the general thing. Because
we
are preparing to educate Ghanaians.
Fair enough.
In the Ghanaian
so my
context.
argument is that how do you reference the dictionary to know the meaning of, say catastrophe, which is a word? Which is the word, first of all. What you want to use the word for is secondary. The primary is, what's the meaning of catastrophe? We all don't know. We go straight to the dictionary.
I get it.
And we all have agreed that that's where we shall go for a definition.
There's no controversy about catastrophe.
Okay, and I'm saying that.
But there's controversy about gender.
For now.
For now. No, for now. I'm coming to the beginning of it. Where do you go to first? You would go to the dictionary.
Yes. But not over a controversial
issue. Now we have picked words that in our jurisdiction we have different definitions for it. Are we there yet?
No, let's be clear. The particular course in question is physical education and health. So we should be doing in context.
Okay.
And these are kids you are bringing up. You are bringing them up, not, even in health, we have, for instance, malaria is not in the US. So they don't have treatment for malaria, kind of. I mean, you would have to go through some other processes. By the time they detect that you have malaria, it's late. That's when you're going to some of these countries, they ask you to do some of these tests and do vaccinations ahead of going to some of those places. So there are some issues that are context-specific, they are jurisdiction-specific, they are also region-specific, and sometimes even country-specific.
Okay.
And so, for instance, I will not allow a U.S. person to come and define from what Galam says.
Yeah.
But that's a slang word, though.
But you will find it recently in some of the definitions across the world.
Okay, my question is, and I want to engage Dr. Sasanti on this. My question is that, of course, there are some words that are clearly slang words, that it's not Englishly accepted in dictionaries. If we know these words, of course, we won't be going into the dictionary. Unless the word has made its way to the dictionary, then it will be your source. But here, I hear Wanda saying that the cause in which we're defining this really, really matters. Dr. Sasanti, do you accept the explanation by the board chair that it is an oversight? Because if I impute it on Kojo's debate, his argument, and my argument that if I'm confused and I went to the dictionary to find just the literal meaning of the word, what will I find? Do you accept his argument that it's an oversight?
I don't want to know that because these things, there's a body that looks at the process. If I'm speaking from experience, I have written a book that we walked ourselves through the NACA process. I tell you, it's not easy. So for them to tell us that it's an oversight, I don't get it, and I won't accept that. Because whatever you put down, if it's going through the NACA processes, I tell you, they scrutinize everything, as you go back, review this, that. So why is it that they themselves, they allow these things to slip through their fingers and they come back to tell us that it's an oversight? I will not accept that. Even though we are human, we make mistakes. But I tell you, the regime there, the institution there, the processes that you go through when you are writing or you are sending a book in through the process, there's absolutely no doubt that all these things will be flagged. So it's funny. It's a bit funny. And I don't accept that.
Okay.
They must do the needful.
Is it surprising as well that a word may have its general meaning? However, for the purpose of our conversation, in this manual, it will be an English word on the face of it, but we must now impute the cause in which this word is going to be used, the definition of that word, which means that if we went to the dictionary and we found the meaning of gender, it will mean what we're seeing now. But for the cause in the manual that we're reading now, it would have a different meaning. Is this what I get? Is this the understanding I should go with?
Normally, when you write, there are certain specifics and certain contexts. So sometimes some of these things, you can have a dictionary meaning, but you want to put it in a certain context so that it makes meaning or makes sense to the people. Then you look at it and then you modify, you add and drop. In other words, you adopt and adapt just to make changes, just to make sure that it suits the context in which we are writing. Otherwise, you'll be writing something that in reality is not what we want on the ground. So those things are done.
Okay.
But having said all this, we are saying that is why we put a team there to check. It's like, I mean, the newsroom. If you go to a newsroom, print media house, you'll see the subdecks where they go through things. And so, obviously, it becomes a difficult thing to say. I don't buy their explanation at all because NACA have gone through the process and I know what it means.
Okay. Because do you understand my question?
I do, but I'm saying that, like he said, it's about the context. Where are we? We are Ghanaians. And we have our cultural leanings, we have our understanding, we have what we accept and what we don't.
You are developing a career.
To that. So when we are educating our people, we should educate them with this understanding that if I come to your house and in your house you greet with your left hand to the elder, and I come to my house and my house you don't accept that you greet your elderly person with your right hand, when I'm defining my greeting, I should define it to pre that context that you greet an elderly with your right hand, not your left.
Okay.
Even though in the general context, you do say that.
By this time, would you still be under bodies like UNICEF?
Oh well, look, this thing was sneaked in. This thing was sneaked in from the external influence. Look, we have to be on guard. There are a lot at work, a lot of people trying to find all ways, and I have said that the only way they're going to do it is through the wording. And we've seen it clearly that they are beginning to change the universal meaning and they are beginning to gradually go through UNICEF and all these international bodies. Most of our people go to these international conferences and they don't really pay attention to the subtexts that they get, okay? So that is where it starts. Because, look, we are at war, right? We are at war, and eventually they will win, unfortunately. No, because, look, as Antikasem, you were saying, ni penny na danemwa, na one danibia. What will happen? Yes. You'll be the author. Unfortunately, well, but that's the point. But I'm saying that we are at, look, it's getting there. Eventually. No, maybe not in our lifetime, but trust me, it's getting there. Because now, if you look at visuals, they've captured the visual world. So now there is no movie or series that doesn't have a taste or a blend of either a gay or an LGBTQ in there. No movie or series, right? Maybe the first series will be successful, there's nothing. Second series, bam, you are hit with it in the first episode, right? So gradually we are losing that side of it. In the US, I sat there and I was amazed. There was a sitcom and Jesus was bleeped. They bleep, as in, you know when you are watching and they don't want you to hear a curse word, they bleep it out. Okay. So when the person says it, it's bleeped. And that's, yes.
Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. In that sitcom, when the person said Jesus, it was bleeped. And I'm thinking, hold on, you are bleeping curse words and you are bleeping Jesus.
Yeah.
That is where they are, right? So they've taken over their entire cinematography. They've taken over Hollywood. They've taken over that thing that comes on our screen. Because if you clearly see that people who are not in that sphere don't get any work.
Sustainability.
No, but let me ask a question on this before you get there. Now, how have the Arab world done it? Because in the Arab world, you're not exposed to certain movies or clips that go against their beliefs. Even in China, that's why China has developed its own social media.
Have you been to Dubai?
Could you please,
have you been?
Dr. Sasanti wants to just react shortly.
Right.
Doc, please proceed.
Yes. You see, all these things we are saying, there are a number of factors in there. One, the issue of hypocrisy on the part of political actors. Look at the previous government. The bill was done. Why was it not signed into law? We also, Kojo, you asked a good question. How come the Arab world, they've been able to stand us? You see, when you are not able to manage your own affairs well, in terms of financial resources, and then you go with a cup in hand, going around the globe, as it were, global, looking for resources, globe-trotting. And meanwhile, you have your country, anywhere you dig on the ground, virtually you have gold. And then people will decide for you what you don't want. Remember, the international system is very, very chaotic. There are bullies there, all right? So when they realize that you are not doing what's expected of you, and then you depend on them for survival, they will show you the way. All these things have added to a system where our socialization has also broken down beyond measure. Look at our homes. What are the values we preach to children? Look at our churches, our mosques, shrines. What is happening there? Our schools. So socialization has broken down. So now the values that we inculcate in people so that they develop to become the best and fit for society, we don't have that anymore. So what do you expect? We want to correct that at the last end. But these things are not done at that level. You do it at home. They top them up in schools, in churches, in public places, and then the process goes on. We have forgotten about all this. All that we need is that, look, we are looking for resources. How we get it doesn't matter. People who have resources are those that we admire in society and whatnot. All these things have shaped our thinking, and politicians have added the fillip onto it, where they always come nice language. When they are in government, there's a way in which they address issues. As soon as they leave power, it's a different ball game altogether. And all these things are the things that are affecting us today. It is time that we define our path clearly, and then we make conscious effort to deal with some of these challenges. Otherwise, people will take us to the slaughterhouse, and we have no point to complain.
Well, I'm very disappointed in the statement he made about hypocrisy in the previous government. What hypocrisy? I mean, at the end of the day, let's discuss this bipartisan. I don't think to say that the previous government is hypocrite on the matter. I mean, we didn't, Nanado didn't. No, my brother. But that doesn't create hypocrisy. The point, the person, okay. The people who propagated the law, my brother. The people who propagated the law, they are in power for 1 year. Have they signed it?
No.
What are you talking about? Let's discuss this thing without the politics, please. Don't do that. I don't think it's necessary. Don't say the hypocrisy, because if it was not signed, I agree, it wasn't signed then. The people in power now, they've been in power for 1 year. They came up with that law. Have they signed it? What are you talking about? Let's leave that proper. No, my brother, stop that word.
Okay, that's you will not define to me how I should.
Well, but I'm saying to you is that the hypocrisy, the word hypocrisy was not necessary.
I respect your view.
Well, I respect your view too, but I'm just saying it wasn't necessary.
It's hypocritical.
Okay.
It's hypocritical.
So, Kojo, you were asking the question how countries like China, all the Arab countries have done quite well, or they've made some progress. Yes. And it comes back to the point I'm trying to make, that if we're playing by an international standard, science is what has been until now. Defining sex has become a problem. So if we have an alterated way of teaching young people what it means, for example, science, you're a scientist, you see, you have always known that the neck is the neck. Mm-hmm. And it was not because Ghanaians said that the neck is the neck, it's because that is what internationally has been accepted. Mm-hmm. That still remains. However, we say we're coming up with a curriculum to say that internationally, neck remains the neck, but we are teaching you that neck apparently is not the neck, is the
let's
arm.
compare.
Is that sustainable?
These are not two things you can compare.
No. I'm asking whether the manual that we...
Can I butt in?
Okay.
Can I butt in? You see, when you are writing or doing research or some of these things, we have what we call definition of terms. There's a general term, knowledge. But in a certain context, you want people to look at it from a certain perspective.
Yes.
That is how you define it. The general term will be there for you to be aware of what is generally out there. Then you want to go on a specific tangent, saying that for the purposes of this work, when we define this is what it means. This is also allowed in scholarship.
Okay.
Yes, in academia.
This is my question. Are we cooking the manual in the way that it is context, but it is so exclusive away from what it should be?
So let's get this. This is Ghana textbook, or call it teaching manual. Ghana. It is not for the US, it's not for Nigeria, it's not for Kenya. And so you are teaching kids and bringing them up in an understanding of what Ghana represents when it comes to education. So it must be context specific. For instance, you won't find witches and how they operate and all those stuff in, say, a developed country like the US. That's why even when our pastors go there, they don't do the take it and receive it. They are not able to prophesy one, because that culture does not even appreciate some of those gymnastics. So whatever you do must be context specific. Even the UN, which we belong to, the UNICEF and all that, they do appreciate that there are context specific issues. For instance, UNESCO going around the world with all these their heritage, whatever sites and all that, knows the culture. They understand the culture. That's how they get them registered of the people and all that. So it is not in isolation that education should be such that once it is accepted in some other culture, it should be accepted in our culture. Otherwise, then we lose our values. So
maybe I should make the point. Well, Kojo, you see, China, they have created their own social media, which means that their understanding of words and all of that will fit in that social media platform that they belong. They will not bring it onto the social media that we are using because it won't fit.
No, let's be clear. Okay. Censorship is different from some of these issues.
Okay.
China has about how many population? 1.2 billion population. I mean, one of the world's largest, or largest, if you care to know. They have the capacity to feed their own, in terms of content and all that. So, and then the world was not even accepting them anyway because their Chinese language is not spoken widely enough. English was taking over the place. They had the likes of Huawei and STE and all those companies that were producing their own stuff, and they needed to cannibalize what they were producing for their people. So they created their own platform to disseminate information. But that also takes them something away from them because globally, most Chinese people are very clueless, on happenings on the other side of the world because they are not open to social media, internet, that is open to the world. So they are lost with what is happening with maybe CNN or all the other international news agencies. So there's also a flaw with that. But we are talking about education, which has to do with a country's human capital development. In that case, you want to give them the right footing and not to just throw at them what is happening in some other cultures that is not even relevant in our own scenario and all that. So I think that we are not asking for too much. We are only asking that people should be conscious of where we are. I rather want NACA to go a step further and sanction those who wrote the manual. Because you see, you need to send a clear signal that this doesn't happen tomorrow. And working with documents, I know why some of these things will happen. You see, sometimes you have a lot of documents on your hand. You trust the people who are doing the documents. They bring in you, okay, yeah, it's gone. Because you feel it has gone through the filtration system of all the, the dottings and the crossings and all that. And then you pass it. Then it becomes a scandal. Sometimes it's deliberate. Your subordinates can actually mess you up by doing some of those things.
But this is deliberate. This is deliberate.
Exactly. So you need a hands-on this. That's why people must be sanctioned.
So you don't accept that it is an oversight?
No.
It can be an oversight.
It
may be an oversight from the boss.
If you look at the wedding, if you look at the entire wedding, it's not an oversight. It's deliberate. Because if you read it, it's not just one word being changed. It's not about two words.
Full definition.
It's a full definition.
Yeah.
There's no way it was basically lifted from somewhere and put in there. So it can't be a mistake.
I think that's why Wanda says some people must be held accountable.
So the oversight, this business of oversight may be from the level
oversight
of
the edits. Yes, the
or level of the board.
The level of the board.
This did not even go to Parliament. Normally this should have gone to Parliament and all that. So the oversight will be at the the decision-making level. But those who sneak it in knew why they sneaked it.
Yes.
And that's why
exactly. It was put in.
I think the people should be punished.
And you see, that brings us to the bigger conversation of language. If we had our own national language, we're talking about China and the Arab world. The Arab world have their languages. So they do their language per their definition. They don't reference English. We don't have a language. We use English. So we have to go to the mothers. That's why Oxford and Cambridge are the definition of what language is.
Yeah.
Okay? So that brings us to that broader conversation. If we had a language, which everybody would today, if you start that conversation, everybody will fight everybody.
Oh, yes.
You understand? So that one, the ship and skill. So we need to be vigilant. That's all.
Yeah.
It looks a bit unending if you have to still be referencing another source. And I don't know, Kojo, you're laughing, but I think you understand my confusion.
No, you're right. I mean, it's always going to be, look, today, if you go there, every year, Oxford adapts new words into the dictionary. They christen new words into the dictionary.
Yeah.
Some starts as colloquial slangs and they end up in a dictionary.
Yeah.
Very soon, I'm sure Dumso will be in Oxford Dictionary.
Galamsey is already there.
Well, Galamsey is there, Dumso will be there. And most words that is being used commonly will find themselves in some
So we should push our own definition. They will accept it.
No, they wouldn't. That one, they wouldn't. But you see, it's a good environment for us to have because you know why? Trump in government now does not entertain some of those things. Yes. In the previous administration where we had the Democrats in there, the Democrats were very hard on the left ideas. Okay, Trump is more on that side where he doesn't accept those things. So I think if we push ahead, that's why I'm even thinking that they will take the opportunity and pass the LGBTQ now because
so that we have clarity, right? When you have, because then when there's a matter and then you go to court, the court will then look at what our definition is.
Could you? Well, I've been pushing for something for some time now. I know it's a minority view, but I think we have come of age. You see, government now has over 800 senior high schools on their hand. Supervision is becoming a problem. Monitoring is becoming a problem. Quality is becoming a problem. Assurances of quality is becoming a problem. Why? Because in managing 800 schools, you are talking about a teacher population of about some 40,000, if you want to. Because if you have minimum 4 people in each school, you're already talking about 4,000. So if you have a minimum of about 10 people, 20 people in each secondary school, 100 people, you have a problem on your hand. Can we get to a point where these schools are now being handed over to the missions?
But that's not a minority view.
Especially
that's a majority view.
No. For
it's
years.
not a minority. No, it used to be.
Yeah,
it used to be. The government took it over, and they've been asking for it to be given back. Yeah, in fact, Dr. Bawumia's manifesto talked exactly about those things that we will give the school back to.
You were in power for 8 years.
No, but he wasn't president. He wasn't president. No. But the president then didn't want to do that. But he was.
As we speak, all the missions are still keeping their educational directorate.
Yes.
Methodist has it, Catholic has it.
But they're asking for it.
Yeah, because
and Dr. Bawumia's president will give it back to them.
I didn't give you an opportunity.
Okay, there's another worrying matter. It will be a good time to want to go in.
But I'm told before we do, Doc wanted to make a point.
Yes. Doc, please proceed on the point.
I think we can make progress.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. So, the 2024 Auditor-General's report has shown some startling revelation that in 2023 alone, we had about 2,000 guns and rounds of ammunition that were intercepted at the Ghana airports.
Local or international?
Well, the further explanation says that it includes local as well. Yeah. This is 2,000. I don't know. First, wonder how do you feel about this?
Oh, I'm not surprised. First and foremost, that challenge is inherent. Why we're growing as a country, crime is also growing as population grows, and when you have a lot of young people who have appetite for violence and all that, you will see some of these things. The guns are not in themselves Ghanaians. They are not all Ghanaians. What the law used to be was that if you are coming to the country with let's say you're traveling, let's talk about traveling. You're leaving the country and you have a licensed gun, you must declare it. Licensed or unlicensed, it must be declared. When you are arrested and it is licensed, what they do is that they can allow you to travel with it. 2, if it's not licensed or even licensed, but you did not declare, the airport authority, the airport security takes custody of the guns, and sometimes they can even hand over to the police. If it is licensed but you didn't declare, you are gone. You go without it. But if it's not licensed and you didn't declare, then that becomes a crime. So they keep you at the airport security for a while and process you for court and all that. The numbers, we are talking about numbers. That's always been there. Every airport, they seize guns. I mean, going on board. Sometimes there's a tip-off, sometimes there's surveillance, or sometimes just their routine checks, they find some of these weapons. And it's not only guns. You're talking about other likely crimes like, like the powder, like the cocaine, like the drugs and all that. So there's always some level of crime at the airport scene. This is not too new, except that the figures have gone up. You're talking about 1,800 or so, ammunitions and all that. That's worrying for us. And that's why the cases like the Boku crisis and a few other crises in the country where guns are openly, wielded and used, we should do an armed combat. The Small Arms Commission also has been doing some job. They have declared, I think, some moratorium on illegal weapons. If you have them, you will bring it to the nearest police station or declare it. And I think they've set a deadline of 15th or 20th of this month. After that, there is no moratorium and all that. So we need to be doing that and doing it well. The Small Arms Commission, I want them to set up in the various districts, the 261 districts the municipal assemblies will have. They should set up in those places, because the guns are not only in Accra. The guns are, hidden somewhere outside on the outskirts of Accra. They are used for crime, violent crimes, and even the non-violent crimes. They still have guns, just that they haven't shot it at the victims and all that. So indeed, we need to find a way going forward for some of these issues.
Okay.
You see, we need a bit of a breakdown on that thing, because it's a bit confusing. I honestly don't think that any sensible Ghanaian is traveling international with a gun. I honestly don't see it. That you are traveling international with a gun. I don't think any sensible Ghanaian want to do that. Because your license of the gun is only in the jurisdiction in which you hold the gun. So I'm thinking mostly that statistics is for local. It's not for international, because most of the guns are coming into the country, so it wouldn't be the Ghana airport seizing it. You know what I'm saying?
Break it down a little.
Okay, so people bring guns into country to sell. So Ghana is a net importer of guns. We are not an exporter of guns. Nobody in Ghana is sending out guns to Europe or to other countries, because we don't manufacture guns in Ghana. So the trend is that the people in America can buy guns cheaply and bring it into Ghana to sell it, right? So maybe they would hide it in their whatever and bring it in. But that one, if it's at the airport, it's very difficult to take it through the international scanners in the US that it will not be detected. So it's difficult to take it through the planes, guns, through the international airports. So I don't think that people at the Ghana Kotoka airport is seizing guns from international passengers coming in. That I don't think that's the case.
Coming in or even going.
So yes. Now, no sensible person will take a gun to travel out of the country, because obviously you are doing something strictly illegal, because obviously I don't also see that.
But we see people travel with the narcotics.
No, but that's the point. No, but hold on. But that's what I'm saying, that you have to conceal.
Okay.
What we are talking about here is somebody having their bag, they are checking the bags and they see a gun.
No, not just
that's what they are reporting.
Not just gun.
No, but that's not what we are talking about. What I'm saying to you is that the report we are discussing is something they have seized and they've recorded. It went to Public Accounts Committee, and Public Accounts Committee is highlighting the amount of guns that Ghana Airport has recorded that they have taken. Right? And I'm saying to you that it is not something that for me, and we need better information on that. I'll be very surprised if it is Ghanaians taking it out of the country. I don't see the logic in that.
No, there is. I can educate you. So you are considering that every flight leaving Ghana is going to Europe or America? No. There are Nigerian flights, there are Cote d'Ivoire flights, there are South African flights. I mean, our neighbors.
No, but the international, but you're taking a gun to an international jurisdiction, that's a crime.
And I'm saying that the same crime is labeled on things like narcotics.
Yeah, but the narcotics is not lying in his bag. No, but you see, you're talking about two different things.
But we don't also produce narcotics in this country. But people
no, but what I'm saying, it's concealed. You seizing narcotics at the airport is concealed and you find it.
Hold on.
Somebody having a gun in their bag and you see it and taking it.
Hold on. People transit guns from this country.
Oh, you are not getting the point I'm making. My brother, this is about a pack.
It may be going not to America.
Let's put it in context. It may be going to Burkina Faso. It may be going to... Let's put it in context. This report that they are talking... Hold on. This report they are talking about was as a result of the Auditor-General's report to PAC.
Yes.
Ghana airports records of how many guns they have confiscated or encountered. Right? It is not an issue of somebody smuggling. These are incidents over a period. And I'm saying that, let's put it in context. In the local flight, when you are checking in, if I have a sidearm and it's registered, I check it in. They will ask me, do you have a gun? And mostly I've traveled with people that say, oh, could you wait for me? I'm trying to clear my gun, right? Because when you have a gun, it's given to the pilot. If you are coming from Tamale to Accra and you have a gun, you check it in, the airline takes it and then give it to the pilot. When you get to Accra, they give it back to you, right? Those are the records that is going to PAC. let's not all of a sudden. No, I'm saying we need better information. You are shaking your head. But I'm saying that I don't honestly.
Hold on. In the report, they have indicated the medium through which those were seized. Registered, but not declared.
Yes.
Unregistered, yes. Not declared, yes. And all that.
But brother, that cannot be at the international airport. That's the point I'm saying. That
but you are talking about Kotoka International Airport, and you are talking about it cannot be at the international airport.
No, but it's the local airport. That's the point I'm saying. That who would be traveling out of the country from Ghana to Nigeria if I can?
I say people conceal these things. Guns come to this country in loads.
Come in loads.
And they leave. They live in loads.
No, that I don't.
Haven't you seen an arrest being made at Aflau border?
Yes, but not at the port. But that's what I'm saying to you. Not at the airport. Because everybody wants to who send gun out of the country. The most scanners in the country is at the airport.
There are guns in this country that can go through the scanner without even notice.
Yes,
I have had a friend who was giving me the jackknife before that we went through the scanner. There are things that
I think we are changing the conversation.
No, you are living in context.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that let's put it in context. I wanted us to put it in a context of. Hold my brother. I wanted us to put it in a context of. It is the amount of gun that is moving around the country.
No, that's not what the report says.
Okay, if that's what you want to put it, that's
no,
fine.
That's not what
it is. Not people.
But Joe, I've also hated because I don't understand gun conversations.
No.
Forgive me. Yeah, because I cannot tell whether or not a gun can be concealed to travel with and all of that. That's why.
I think that's what happens before they are arrested at the airport, right? How are you able to get it through the system? You have to conceal it first.
No, but you cannot conceal. That's what I'm saying. The airport.
They will see it.
Exactly. There is no way you can. Exactly. You cannot take a gun through an airport. Today, even listen to me. You know what happened to me?
But the bags,
hold on.
The bags will.
You know what happened to me? You know what happened to me?
Yeah.
There are so many scanners at the airport that you cannot take a gun out of the airport. The airport is the last place you can take a gun.
But I'm telling you, the same analogy a person trafficking drug with.
No, because you see, you're not stating a point. Gun is a metal. My personal experience, you know, when you take your stuff to the laundry, they staple something on your.
Yeah.
So I'm going through the airport. I go through, there's beep beep. I've emptied all my stuff. I go through the scanner, beep beep. They've scanned everything. So they brought the handheld scanner. While they are scanning, they get to where my flap is. Pew, pew. I've looked everything. You know what it is? A staple pin is under the flap where they stapled my name.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is that because of all the terrorist actions from the world around the world, airport scanners detect the most sensitive metal.
I want to ask a question. When we are traveling and we're checking our bags,
it's scanned.
They also, of
course, your bags are scanned when you check it in.
Okay.
All bags are scanned when you check it in.
These things are done in collaboration, please.
Unless you are talking about people smuggling, and that one will be through ABGO. That will not even be through the normal airport.
Through the airport.
No, it's not. It wouldn't be part of this report. That's Aviance. That wouldn't be part of this report.
Okay, but shall we also say that maybe it didn't get to the point where if you had a hand luggage and maybe you have to go through security and then they know, maybe it is intercepted earlier even before.
But that is the point, is the recording. They'd ask you, this is record keeping. What the report is highlighting is that there is a very high number of people carrying guns through our airports. And I'm saying that, let's put it in context. It is mostly in our local airports that a lot of people are carrying guns, whether registered or not registered. But I'm saying that I don't think that anybody in their right mind is taking a handgun through the international channel.
Okay. Wonder, you also land on your point.
No, I'm just reading what the report says. The report says the 2023 revealed over 2,000 weapons and ammunition were intercepted. What's the word intercepted? At Ghana's airport in 2023. This includes guns, ammo discovered in passengers' luggage or on their person.
Yes.
What else are you?
So it's not concealed. That's the point. He's not hiding it. He has it in his luggage. He has a gun. He's traveling to Tamale with a gun. He gets to the airport and he's not hiding it. This I'm saying that nobody in their right mind, it's not this 2,000 guns a year, it's not a lot. Look at the number of people that travel through the local airport. 2,000 is not a lot. A lot of people have registered guns in Ghana now.
Okay. Have you landed on what you're reading?
No. I mean, he won't accept.
No, but I'm trying to explain. It's not I won't accept. I'm trying to explain to you that that 2,000 guns is not a lot.
Hitherto, you and I didn't know this. A body, corporate, brings it up before Parliament. Now listen, in the past we used to have lesser figures. In 2023, the figure went up. Now, even if you draw that closer to our elections, you know, our election was in 2024, right? They are talking about end of 2023. If people are planning stuff, people want to do stuff, that's when they would have done it, the year before, or even the year
But this is more of a middle class conversation than illegal. I don't think.
In lead up to all of our elections, Peace Council, Small Arms Commission, the Ministry of Interior, they go on this retrieval of weapons in the system and all that because they see hotspot and they know where people want to create violence and all that. So it cannot be in isolation. If it didn't trigger anything, it won't come up. They are saying it is up. There are interceptions. People are hiding it in their luggage. What does hiding in their luggage means?
But if I put a gun in my luggage, I'm not hiding it. If I'm packing my bags and I put my gun in my luggage, I'm not hiding it.
The cocaine and all the others that...
Oh, my brother. Nobody. My brother. Which world do you live in?
Okay, Dr. Salsanti.
You and I have traveled very wide.
But who puts cocaine in there? Who packs their bag and put cocaine in there?
Oh, come on.
Now, who does that?
Can this fly? I've traveled very wide.
And you put a cocaine
by the grace of God. And I've seen people being arrested right on the tarmac, right in their luggage. What are you talking about? Where else do you put it? In your stomach? Those are olden days of concealing drug. People now have ways of a whole bag, a bag, just like this. You have stuff in it, but beneath the bag and all that, they have a way of doing it. You see it in several, in several.
Concealed.
What's the difference of concealed?
Concealed is when you have gone an extra. Yes, you can't go to the. That is why even in guns, you have a concealed license. There are two different types of licenses for a gun. There are open carry gun license and there's a concealed weapon license. The difference is that when I enter this room with a gun, I should put it on a table and let everybody know I have a gun. When you go to every public place and you have a gun, you should wear it so that everybody, that's why in the US, you realize that they wear guns and every time it's shown. You always should show if you have a gun. So if I have a licensed gun and I go to a public place, I should let everybody there know that I have a gun. When you have a gun in your person and it's hidden, it's called concealed. You need a permit to conceal a gun.
Okay.
And only certain people are given concealed permits. These are things you can check. I mean, I don't need to.
Okay. So these numbers, you say that it's not quite worrying.
No, it's worrying. It's a middle class. It's really, I think it's a middle class conversation. A lot of people are buying guns now. A lot of people feel they are unsafe. They need to have guns on them. The use of guns. And you see, it's also the police. You remember recently the problem with the guy who got arrested, my friend in the gun area. The artist came and he shot guns and they arrested him. And the issue came up that the gun he has should not have been registered because only certain guns are allowed to be registered in Ghana. You need certain permission. Handguns. Pistols, what we call pistols, are not just normally registered. You need special dispensation to register a pistol, right? So everybody can register the big guns, the one for the hunting and all those shotguns, we can register them. But pistols, you need special dispensation to register those. Certain modification of guns like machine guns, automatic weapons are not allowed to be registered to citizenry. So the point is, yes, it is a lot of proliferation of guns among citizenry now, and it's worrying because people feel unsafe. But I don't think the conversation is about people smuggling guns out of the country. I think that's what it is.
Dr. Salsanti.
Yeah, it's a big conversation because you see, proliferation of arms send all manner of signals that are people safe. What is the purpose for which they are acquiring guns in that fashion? And when the answers are put together, you realize that sometimes give you a certain pattern that give cause for worry. So I am happy with the Small Arms Commission and the work they are doing, calling for, making sure that they take from people who are not supposed to possess weapons and all that. It has its own, implications when you have more in the system. It creates all manner of problems, and that is why there's always a conscious effort on the part of the security apparatus to be able to deal with this and then handle it in such a way that we don't have difficulties in that. Look at the countries where they believe that possessing, having a weapon is your right, like the United States, and you see the effects. You have groups such as the NRA, the National Rifle Authority, who always lobby MPs in Parliament to make sure that, look, people continue to possess weapons and all that. The good news is that we don't have such lobbies here. So when we are seeing the numbers going up, I'm very happy that the Commission is working on that so that we curb it. But that also doesn't, deprive people of the right to own weapons when they have duly registered them or acquired them properly.
Okay. Kojo, Pele.
I think they've said it all, so we will have to wrap up there.
Well, the comment I wanted to make was on there's a newspaper front page that you talked about Christians basically saying that this tribal.
Oh no! It's lawyer Hassan Tampuli that is warning people against.
Yes, and the point I wanted to make on that was, if the Christian Council, pastors, and church leaders come out and tell the congregation about this, people will really stop it, because there is this undercurrent, and some pastors going around saying that, like you mentioned, we're a Christian country, we don't want a Muslim leader. I don't think it's the view of the Christian Council.
I've heard it.
I don't think it's the view of most pastors and church leaders in this country. It's probably a few, or is a view of a few, and I think it's unacceptable. I pray the Christian Council takes it up and educates their members that it doesn't matter what country we are. What we look for is competence. What we look for is somebody who can solve the problems of this country. Their background, their religion, because nobody goes to a mechanic asking the mechanic, what church do you go to, or are you a Christian or a Muslim? Nobody goes to a doctor by asking them, are you a Pentecost, are you a Catholic, or are you Anglican, or are you a Muslim or a Christian? Nobody does that. We go to professional people for results. And I think we need leaders that will take this country to the next level. And we should really stop and nip that thing in the bud where people are beginning to make that statement of, we're a Christian nation, we cannot be led by a Muslim. Really not good.
Well, could you as well? Judicial service, okay.
These things cannot.
Can I come in?
Okay, Doc, please proceed.
Right, it's an interesting conversation. Sometimes you see politicians want to play the ethnic card or religious card with the hope of getting people to vote for them. The simple reason is that they are not alive with the literature of things that influence voters in this country. So, Mr. Opoku, don't worry, those things do not fly at all. Because you see, let's look at religion. I'll start with even ethnicity. If ethnicity is anything to go by in terms of electoral choices, then I'm sure that any time somebody offers himself up who belongs to the minority ethnic group, other than what the majority are can, you have lost the election ab initio. Is that the case? It is not. Because we've seen in 1992, Rawlings and Neve, this is not a dominant ethnic group. It's the second biggest group ever. He won, and won 2 times. We have also seen where Anakan has also contested for election, and have lost. Professor Mills, Nana Akufo-Addo, and the rest of them. So you ask yourself that if ethnicity is anything to go by, then people who rule this country are Akans. But the story we have today is totally different. Religion. People want to play religious cards that they will influence you using religion for you to be able to vote one direction or another. It doesn't work. Let's look at even this country. Until Dr. Bawumia came into the scene, all the leaders, flag bearers we had in this country for the 2 dominant parties, have been Christians, but Muslims have voted for them. Traditional people have voted for them. What were they considering? They were not considering religion, because if they were considering religion, why would you reject your own? They were voting for people who understand the problems of this country, people who have solutions for this country, and people who can make life better for people in this country. That's it. So they vote. So it doesn't matter whatever religion you find yourself in here, that they do not influence voter choices at all. Sometimes people want to make noise about it, but it doesn't happen at all. What people drive people into voting one direction or another: the economy, the fight against corruption, infrastructure development, unemployment, and the rest of them. So, Ms. Opoku, cool down, don't have a problem. Religion cannot be used for anything, because, as you rightly said, whoever, and I want to also take the conversation and not further, we go to the market and say, I want to buy tomato, but I want a Christian to buy for. I'm not a Christian. My wife and children I am a traditionalist, all right? But I vote. Whatever direction I want to vote, I vote. And then that's it.
Wanda has a question for you.
Dr. Sanjay, have you poured libation this morning?
Already. As soon as I wake up, libation is poured. Ancestors are greeted. And I move on. Yes.
Okay.
I know. So, religion, tribe, and all that. I mean, we went this low at certain point in our history. Political party leaders, candidates themselves have created some of this, mess. I don't see the reason why you are campaigning, and then you see them sleeping on the floor in some church, sleeping on the floor in some mosque, sleeping on the floor. You are the one bringing it up. Tell us what you offer. Let's match your integrity against what you are telling us. Let's see if you have the capacity to deliver, and that ends the game. But when you go for all these other ancillary issues of we are these people, we are this tribe, and we are bigger, we are small, you reduce the campaign to some of these levels. And I think that's what has happened to what Bawumia seems to be suffering right now. Well, it looks like it's a Bawumia.
He's not suffering anything. Bawumia is not suffering anything. Why is Bawumia suffering?
Challenge.
It is not the Bawumia challenge. It's a Ghana challenge.
Because of what?
Because they are the ones who even bring it up the most.
No, because it's out there.
No, hold on.
It's out there.
Hold on.
Nobody brings it up, but it's out there.
Hold on. Don't be in a hurry. They bring it up themselves. That people are saying that a Muslim cannot be a candidate and all that. But who is a Muslim? It's only Bawumia. So that if I'm fair to think that this is where it's coming from.
So when you guys bring Haruna, what will happen?
Wait until we cross that bridge.
So judicial service, another worrying issue. Judicial service have put us on notice that they will be striking from Monday.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, but I have friends who are lawyers who already say that it is very difficult, honestly.
I have cases in court that need to be heard.
How many years has it been running?
3 years, 5 years.
So imagine the judicial service, they strike on Monday.
What's the problem?
Well, unpaid salaries. I just go to the
unpaid salary increment.
Last year.
Increment,
Last
actually.
year.
I think for the 2025 salary adjustment.
It's a reset.
Which one, the strike or
them not being paid in the reset agenda, that's not paying them.
Okay, so I'll just take the last paragraph of one of the concerns. So our members are fed up with the unbearable situation they have been subjected to by the government. We're unable to accept any excuses any longer. Therefore, the National Executive Council of GSAC held its emergency meeting and resolved to embark on an indefinite strike starting from Monday, 19th January 2026. The strike shall continue to be in full force until our demand for payment of the 8-month salary arrears from January to August 2025 is fully met.
Well, I can assure you that the strike will be called off. There's work going on around that issue. But sometimes I get very worried. We say that we have separation of powers in this country. And yet every single thing is lumped on the on the executive. These JUSEC guys are supposed to be under the judiciary, as it were. But you see, in their press release, everything in their press release...
Who pays them?
Government. No, I'm coming. So we are talking about separation of powers. And so we need a system that all the various arms of government is self-financing, as it were. even though they would draw their budget from the the executive and all that, but they should be self-financing, and so that we don't have this overlap all the time. Because government has a lot of people to deal with.
But who's government?
I'm coming. So government, as the executive, has a lot of people.
The executive arm of government. That's what you should say. The executive arm of government has a lot. No. But let's educate. No. It's very important. It's very important.
Why is it that when you're talking,
because I like to correct. I like to correct certain things. It's very important. It's very, very important because we don't want people to go and get different definition of things in the dictionary.
We
it's very
have
important.
3 arms of government.
Yes. So the executive arm of government, that is what you should say.
Are you now the...
No, but it's good to educate.
So we know that they draw their salaries from the executive arm of government. And by extension, the executive seems to be the government as of the day. Because they are the ones that are elected and they represent a certain... And then they also control the public purse. But I am looking for a day where we can be self-sustaining all the arms, such that a strike in, say, the judiciary does not necessarily become a burden of the executive, because it grinds everything to a halt. These are people who work directly under the judiciary. In fact, their salary increments are negotiated by the judiciary and all that and all that. And they are not even saying that none has been paid. Part has been paid. Is left with some 8 months of the previous year. And this is salary increment, the 10% increment. So we need a system that allows some of these things to be done, devoid of the backlash that the executive receives all the time.
But there is a system. Let me explain.
Now, he talks about resets and all that. We did not reset to injure anybody. We did not reset to make anybody worse off. And that is why, since they left office, Ghana has been peaceful. The economy has been rebound. Things are moving on. Today he's coming in good suit, and I'm very happy.
I always wear good suits. Because Ojupoko has been wearing good suits for 25 years.
Because he knows
my
that
suits are not bought for
the government is too good,
my brother.
For him. And so let's not.
On TV with
let's not. Let's not.
Suits are always on point. 25 years.
I wear suits too.
So no, that's fine. So you when you wear suits.
Before it escalates quickly,
no, it won't escalate. Let me make my point. I wouldn't even say thank you. I always look good. I always look good.
No, what do you mean by looking good?
I always look good. But let me. You can go and look at my video. Let me make my point. Let me make my point before Doctor. Let me make my point before Pom comes in. Whilst I'm on the floor. Anybody that knows Kojopoko on TV for the last 25 years. I'm gonna take my time. Anybody, how old am I?
Yeah, you're 25 years on TV.
Yes. 25 years on TV.
How old are you?
How old do you think I am?
You tell us.
I'm not telling you my age on TV, but let's move on.
No, exactly.
Everybody that knows me, I'm telling you. Go and ask Bamfo. Hold on. My first time on TV was on GBC when Uncle Jampo was at GBC.
Okay, answer your
I'm not going to give you.
No, but always been like this. It's not a reset.
It's not a reset. I've always been like this. So I'm telling you that for 25 years of being on TV, I've always been in suits. I can show you a picture of me and Commander Griffith, then Deputy Communication Minister in my suit. So let's move on from there.
Okay.
Well, the point I'm making that he wouldn't let me make is this. Government, right? When the people had their strike and their press conference, they mentioned government. Government is 3 arms of executive, judiciary, and the legislature. So when they're saying government, is that body. Now, what should happen, and I agree with him, is that the consolidated fund, which all monies from the judiciary goes into, has been hijacked by the executive arm of government. So the executive arm of government, yes, because the executive arm of government does the appropriation. But it's been hijacked. Yes, it's been hijacked.
Means
because hold on. But it's been hijacked.
They not hijack it.
Well, that's fine. The point is,
if you use the right
I contribute into a pot, because all monies from the judiciary goes into the consolidated fund. When you pay all the fees at the judiciary, all that money goes to the consolidated fund. And the only people who are distributing that money is the executive arm of the government.
Mandated.
Now, the judiciary who generates the funds has to now beg for that money back. So
but I understand, when a government consolidates resources, it's not distributed equally. So
exactly. So that is where I'm now going to support his point. We should have a system. that basically allows them to do the IGFs which is the internally generated fund, so that they can now be self-sustaining and we wouldn't have some of the...
That should come with amendment to the whole...
Well, it depends on the will of the government to basically do that, because sometimes the executive arm of government, again, wants to have a little string to pull on that side, so they don't want them to be 100% independent.
Okay. Dr. Sasanti, you'd have the final words on this.
Yes, I have watched with pain. Sometimes people work and they are not paid. Read the Constitution. It said equal work for equal pay. Everybody who put in your all in terms of your labor, you deserve some level of remuneration. Meanwhile, your bosses will take their salaries and they will not pay you. We have seen that, and it's one of the ugly spectacles in this government, that people come out and said, we have not been paid and all that. Please, government, listen, and listen well. Pay people who work. What we are saying is a function of what the system's theory. The political system operates as a system, various parts. So each part work in tandem with others, and that when there is a malfunction on the part of the system, it affects other parts. Those who are responsible for payment of salaries, allowances, and all that, once they fail, you realize that the system doesn't go on. We should have an efficient system that will make sure that various parts within the system work so that the whole system will work completely. So I want to see the reset here, making sure that people get salary on time. And then those who are work, they also earn their living. If we are able to do this, there shouldn't be any problem. It doesn't matter. But Mr. Wonder was saying that we are talking about even separation of powers. Mr. Wonder, there is no separation of powers anywhere in the world. We have what? Yeah, checks and balances, because it doesn't work. Once you have what? A system, like say the legislature, your duty is to make law and all that. But slices of your functions are given to the two other arms to perform on your to serve as a check on your power. Otherwise, you are likely to. So, as for the separation of powers, we don't have. We are having a system that has checks and balances, separation of powers and checks and balances. So those who are supposed to check and balance the process so as to make sure that everybody have their fair share of the national cake, they must be up and doing.
All right. You don't like them, Mr. Wonder?
No, fine. I'm saying he's talking a lot now.
Well, Kojo, we're just wrapping up the review segments.
I just want to thank them. We've had a good discussion on the issues, and to say good morning to my friend Osmond, who is the Deputy CEO at the National Buffer Stock Company. You and all the staff there, you are so warm when one comes around. And to my friend, the Head of Corporate Communications for the area, Mr. Arthur, good morning to you. So you guys at NAFCO, good morning, and continue the good work you're doing for Ghana. But your people say I should tell you that the monies, please, let them keep coming. Why? Okay.
When you were saying you wanted to, I thought you were going to mention a lady's name.
A lady's name?
I was listening attentively.
Oh, no.
Kojo, a lot of people give me slack when they meet me. And they say that I am the only one that comes on TV and don't greet my constituents, so I'm not a politician. I said, well, I don't know how. Most politicians will come and say that I don't greet. So I think today, let me greet them.
You greeted by Dr. earlier.
Let me greet the good people of Kabri East, Mampontin, and also my people in my hometown, Puano. I'm greeting them this morning, at least. A lot of, you guys will be surprised how far this program goes. I was in Asankore last week, and there's a place called Dinyasi number 2, which is about 25 kilometers from Asankore. The minute we went there, we were going to look at my farm, and the farm hands, they were arguing. Then I came up to me and said, boss, what you want to join?
Big man.
But I'm telling you, this platform goes far.
Oh yeah, we're very big. We're grateful.
Really cool.
Thank you so much. This morning we're joined by Wanda Madilo, development analyst, member of the NDC communications team. Was well joined by Kojo Poku. Well, Kojopoko is Executive Director of
Institute for Energy Policies.
I like it that way.
INSTEP.
But when you put it together,
INSTEP.
INSTEP is fine. Okay, I like the.
So the house should not come.
No, INSTEP.
INSTEP. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And Dr. Kwame Asante as well joined us, political scientist, University of Ghana. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Could you say bye-bye?
Oh, bye.
Staying with us, this is the AM show, and today more savings and loans companies say they have reduced the lending to public sector workers as part of measures to curb the growing problem of non-performing loans. According to the Chief Executive Officer of Opportunity International Savings and Loans Company, Ernest Yereku, the decision follows increased repayment challenges within the public sector, which have affected the financial status of some institutions. He's been speaking to Joy Business, James Ishan.
Three basic activities that you should do. How do you underwrite your loans? Is there one man who makes decisions on loans? For us, no. There are clear processes that you must go through before a loan is approved and disbursed to a customer. How about monitoring? I encourage institutions to enhance their monitoring regime, because once you give out a loan, you need to monitor the client so that the loan is not misapplied. You know, these are very basic tenets in delivering credit. We have gone ahead as of last year in October to introduce a loan origination tool. And this is a tool that enables us to onboard a customer, to start a credit process, to underscore, credit score the loan, and then we can make decisions on that loan in addition to what the system, the AI-backed system, would do. Why are we investing in this when we have an existing credit, risk management process? Is to standardize the credit appraisal system so that we do not have our NPLs moving up and down. But that once we standardize the process, we are likely to see a standard trend of how decisions are made and whether or not our loans will be repaid, and so forth. So I believe that the credit underwriting process is important. I believe that monitoring and supervision is important. We are a microfinance-focused institution, and we live with our customers. We do not just give loans, we train our customers. We do not just give any training, digital financial services. We are doing financial literacy trainings. We are introducing all kinds of things. When I say the customer as a whole, not just credit and training, but we are looking at the customer in entirety. If you are doing this to your customer, it means you are close to the customer and you understand the customer. That way, the customer has loyalty with you and the customer will repay your loans. So this is the next stage that we are moving to, using technology backed with our customer-centric approach to be within the communities across the country.
Customer-centric approach. Now, there were issues of public sector workers, to be precise, teachers, nurses, and all of that. I mean, that was some 2 years back. And the association in itself raised a lot of concerns that they come for loans and they abscond to other parts of the world. What is that situation like as we speak?
I think from the policy point of view, there's been some improvements between the institutions and the Controller and Accountant General. I think that earlier we had some backlog of payments, and this was a key concern for actors within this industry, to say that some deductions are made, but institutions do not receive the loan deductions on time. That was one of the key issues. The second issue was the exodus of some professions outside of this country. Like I said, it is about your purpose. Why were you set up? For us, strategically, we have a very minimal percentage of our portfolio in that area because our mission is clear, who we should serve. We are not saying that public sector workers who are into viable businesses cannot take loans from us. But we do not focus on financing consumption. We finance production. So that's why if you look at the mix, our product mix, you notice that the loans to public sector workers is a small fraction of our portfolio. It is it is because of what we were set up to do. For some other institutions, that is their focus, because that is a strategic position they have taken. And they may have some bigger issues to deal with when it comes to this. Let me link this to the discussion about risk management, that over-concentration can pose challenges for you. And so I encourage that as institutions, we should continue to look at our portfolio mix and say, how can we diversify so that where there are issues in one sector, it does not entirely touch the survival of the institution.
But are you still giving loans to these public sector workers?
Yes, we are. We are, but in a very, like I said, it's not a huge portion of our total portfolio. We have looked at which professions are at risk at this point, so that we do not expose ourselves so much into it. So as an ongoing process, risk management process, you need to be reviewing what are the sectors I should continue with. It does not mean that I should stop completely, because we are providing a critical service to the public sector workers, albeit in a smaller portion of our portfolio.
And with respect to your background checks, what goes into that before you give those loans, knowing what has happened in the past?
First of all, what is the professional area? You need to be clear what the profession is. Are teachers the one living the most, or there are doctors who are living the most? I've not mentioned who is living the most, but to say that in the first place, you need to check where the risk is. There are some professions that are very, I can say they are stable. They do not move out as much. And so that is where we will. We go ahead also to take guarantees from their relations, or they should provide us guarantors. So that becomes a fallback position if that professional has a...
And are there collaterals too?
No, we use guarantees. Just guarantees, and that's in response to what happened, I think about 3 years ago. We found that it was a huge situation for us.
Now, still on the NPLs, but then let's look at the macroeconomic environment. Somewhere last year we saw policy rate was reduced to somewhere 18%. We've seen inflation last November was 6.3%, interest rate and all of that. How is all of these macroeconomic indicators impacting the repayment of loans by your customers?
I can say that early days yet to give definite responses, but anytime the economy is stable, it provides better disposable incomes for borrowers, and they can pay. Okay, so yes, it is for me welcoming news. It's something we should encourage, and I think that the policy decisions, the ministers and the central bank should be applauded for what has happened. I would encourage, we pray that this is sustained, because if we have a predictable environment, even from a risk management perspective, you are able to project the cash flows of your customers if the economy is predictable. But where the inflation can jump up or currency can jump up, then the cash flows are difficult to estimate. The clients find it difficult to plan because they are unaware of what can happen. And I think that we've experienced some things in the past years where things were changing really quick, and that posed some risks to institutions. I think that let's applaud the owners, the drivers of the economy, and encourage them to sustain it, because the business environment would improve, benefits will go back to the business. The youth will have jobs to do because these our big clients can expand. And once they expand, they will need more hands.
All right, welcome back to the AM show on the Joy News channel. Time for us to sit with a leading sponsor of the proper family values bill, which is currently something that we're debating whether or not it will be on the floor and how government is going to go about it. I have with me the Physical Education and Health elective for senior high schools teacher manual, and this is the book year 2. It has the NACA seal on it, and if you look at it, it says this publication is not for sale or rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced without prior written permission from the Ministry of Education, Ghana, CARE 2025, Ministry of Education. If you go to page 3, explanation of sexual and reproductive health. Point 5, point 4, gender identity. It refers to a person's deeply felt internal experience of gender, which may or may not correspond with the sex assigned at birth. It can include being male, female, or a blend of both. This concept goes beyond the binary notion of gender, male and female, and recognizes the diversity of gender experiences and expression. Okay. And if you look at even point 5, it says gender expression. This refers to the external display of one's gender through a combination of dress, demeanor, social behavior, and other factors, generally measured on scales of masculinity and femininity. Now, there's also the issue about sexual rights on page 5. The recognition of sexual rights include the right of sexual pleasure, autonomy over one's own body, as well as freedom from violence and discrimination based on sexual or orientation and gender identity. Okay. So, particularly, it is the gender identity definition that Reverend Intim Fojo, who is our guest today, flagged. He is the ranking on the Security and Defense Committee of Parliament and also a lead sponsor of the Proper Family Values Bill. He flagged it and it became a major issue. Today, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, has released a statement. It says, NACA clarifies issues pertaining to a teacher manual for the senior high school curriculum. The Ministry of Education and the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, NACA, have noted with concern recent allegations regarding the introduction of LGBTQ-related content into Ghana's senior high school curriculum. NACA reiterates in the strongest terms that no such context exists within the approved national curriculum. Distinction between curriculum and teacher manuals. It says it is essential to clarify that the national curriculum and teacher support materials serve distinct functions. The curriculum is the official policy document defining the mandatory areas of study for learners. In contrast, teacher manuals are supplementary instructional resources designed to provide pedagogical guidance to teachers. These manuals do not constitute the curriculum itself, and their use is optional. Teachers may deliver the approved curriculum without relying on these specific guides. Manual development and timeline. It says the development of secondary education curriculum is a dynamic process characterized by rigorous technical review and broad stakeholder consultations. We wish to clarify the following milestones. A new curriculum was introduced at the SHS levels in the 2024-2025 academic year for the first time in the history of Ghana. A decision was taken for teacher manuals to be developed to aid teachers in the implementation of the new curriculum. NACA therefore empaneled subject-specific writing teams in collaboration with the Transforming Teacher Education and Learning, TTL, to develop the manuals in 2024. Following a comprehensive internal review, NACA determined that a specific definition of gender identity, in quote, contained within the Year 2 Physical Education Health elective teacher manual for senior high schools, the one I read earlier, was not reflective of the Ghanaian culture, norms, and values. A revised version of the Year 2 Physical Education and Health elective teacher manual, aligned with the national values and biological understanding, has been released, and it is accessible to the public and teachers. And it gave, the link where we can have access to that. Okay, let me open that too. It says steps are being taken to withdraw the printed version of the old manual from the system. All future revisions will be reflected in the digital version available at the official portal. Okay, so that is also there. And it says that the Ministry of Education and NACA are state unequivocally that the government of Ghana has no intention to promote, endorse, or introduce LGBTQ content at any level of the education system. Our curriculum remains firmly anchored in the socio-cultural fabric of Ghana, constitutional principles, and child-centered development goals. We are grateful for the continued support of the public as we take these responsible steps to ensure our educational resources remain a true reflection of our national identity. Conclusion: while the ministry respects public discourse and parliamentary oversight, we urge all stakeholders to ground discussions in verified fact. We remain committed to transparency, responsiveness, and the delivery of a high-quality education system that respects the values of the Ghanaian people. And this is signed by Professor Samuel O. Ofori Bekwin, Director General. Reverend John Intim-Fojo is here. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning. So this is the response from NACA.
Very bizarre, very unfortunate, appalling, unacceptable response.
Really?
Professor Bekwin must be resigning by now.
Hey.
If we are in a serious country, you cannot print such manuals and distribute them to schools. And NACA, the agency mandated to be the safeguard, the gatekeeper, to ensure that every content going into the classroom are wholesome and aligned with our values, our culture, our laws. And then you review such teacher manual, you approve them, you print them with taxpayers' money, distribute them. You are saying it's optional. If it is optional, will you expend taxpayers' money to print thousands of copies to distribute? And then and to be the pedagogical guide, the fundamental reference to delivering instruction to students, and telling them that gender is no longer about the non-binary nature, about being a female or a male assigned by birth, but it's about the inner feeling, how you feel. And so, see, the flagging is not only on the gender identity. Every definition expressed here is problematic. Check, for instance, sexual orientation. It describes a person's pattern of emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to others. Sexual orientation is about identifying as a male or identifying as a female. And when you are talking about the context of attraction and marital for reproductive and other related activities, it is in the context of the opposite sex. So every definition of sex is a problem. The definition of sexuality is a problem. So when we raise gender identity and sexual rights, which is on page 5, they quickly went online to make those changes. But every other thing stays as it is in the books. You see, I'm so appalled because for President Mahama, the President of the Republic, to promise Ghanaians that he will become president and be the first to sign the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill to clamp down on LGBT, to preserve our culture and values, for which overwhelmingly he is voted into power. He comes into power, and Catholic Bishop Conference go to him to confront him about the matter. The response he gives them is that, let us cure this with curriculum. You remember that? He said that we should cure, there's not even need for legislation, and that we should cure LGBT tendencies with curriculum.
But so he says it has to be, it has to emanate from the executive.
He said, he first said that it has to be cured from the curriculum. Then later he said that he wants to even sponsor a government bill, which bill after a year on has never been introduced. Then later he said that if The government, if the private member's bill comes to him, then he will sign. Then turns around, they gag it at Parliament, and for 1 year, they delete it from order paper, and they have given instruction to Speaker, to Majority Leader, to prevent it from being listed on the order paper. Until now, it has not been listed. But I'm referencing the curriculum direction he gave, that the LGBT matters ought to be addressed with curriculum and not even law. So if you were going to put indications to fight LGBT, we would have thought that you would have even introduced much stricter and much more conservative definitions into the teacher manual. But here, you rather introduce LGBT propagation, LGBT technologies, LGBT promotion, and you are telling and indoctrinating the most vulnerable group of people between 13 and 19 who are within our secondary schools that gender is no longer binary. It's no longer about female or male, but it's about inner feeling. That is very dangerous. That is so dangerous. And it says that it can include being male or female or a blend of both. That is most bizarre. When did Ghana determine that by our constitution? This constitution, 1992 constitution, it does not define gender as being a blend of both. It says that gender is non-binary. Being a male or female, our Criminal and Other Offences Act indicates, they spell it out. We know what gender means. And so for you to now indoctrinate learners and to promote LGBT, that when you are asked about your gender, it's no longer male or female, you can be a blend of both, or you can be neither, and it is about your inner feeling and how you feel. It is very dangerous, it is unpardonable, it is diabolical, and it's a deliberate attempt by this government. So it goes beyond the gender definition. I've noticed your team are using the terminology gender definition. It is not, the matter we are talking about is much more serious beyond gender definition. It is a grand agenda by this government, President Mahama-led government, to promote LGBT, sadly in schools, at the blind side of parents, at the blind side of stakeholders. So teachers did not even know about this. And they went into schools. These teacher manuals have been distributed to them. And then innocently, they have taught this already. Week 1 is already gone. They have taught these dangerous concepts to the students already. They have not issued any statement about how they are going to unlearn those concepts. This is week 1.
Okay.
This is week 1. So they've already taught it. They have not issued any directive how they are going to unlearn those dangerous, diabolical LGBT concepts. And the new direction they must go. Number 2. Number 2. It took me to prompt that this is what you have done. And it took the teachers in the classrooms who were handed this dangerous, diabolical, vile LGBT agenda document to prompt our attention to the fact that this is alien to the curriculum we developed and they were trained in, and teacher manual was expected to be brought out of it. And so when we raise
the statement is pointing this to when you were deputy minister. It says, NACA therefore empanels subject-specific writing teams in collaboration with TTEL to develop the manuals in 2024. You were deputy minister then.
See, and that is one act of irresponsibility on the part of the Ministry of Education and NACA. And that is why I say the NACA Director-General must resign by now. He's lying, he's throwing, he has failed on his job. He has printed this. I didn't print this. We didn't develop this. What we developed is the curriculum. You read the first, what does the first paragraph say? It said that the curriculum, as we approved it, does not have any LGBT element.
Yeah, it says that with concern, blah, blah, it says NACA reiterates in the strongest terms that no such contest exists within the curriculum. National curriculum.
What we did is a curriculum.
You didn't do the teacher manual?
We did year 1 teacher manual. And year 1 teacher manual does not contain these absurdities. So they came, and you rightly read it. Copyright 2025, Ministry of Education. So they came to develop the year 2 teacher manual and introduce these alien concepts. And then they go ahead to blame TTEL rather disingenuously and rather irresponsibly. TTEL has no wrongdoing. TTEL has no hand in this grand LGBT agenda by the Ministry of Education.
But if they were the team that developed that,
I have spent 4 years as Deputy Minister of Education. The framework for ensuring that teaching and learning material gets to the classroom is that regardless whether a private publisher or an independent consultant develops a teaching and learning material or textbook or supplementary material, it comes to NACA. Even if TETA or any independent consultant for that matter did anything like this, it comes to NACA for NACA to do their final review before they emboss it with a NACA logo to indicate that this is a NACA approved material. So the attempt to throw TETL under the bus, the attempt to sacrifice TETL instead of the Director-General of NACA incompetently watching and deliberately pushing this poison to our student is not acceptable. Because no matter whoever develops a textbook or supplementary or teacher manual, NACA, according to their mandate, is the final authority who does the checks. So who did the checks? So that's a line. That is
it is they. They say that following a comprehensive internal review, NACA determined that the specific definition of gender identity contained within the Year 2 Physical Education and Health elective teacher manual for senior high schools was not reflective of Ghanaian culture, norms, and values. A revised version of the Year 2 has been done.
Pause there. When did they do that review? And when did they do the revision? Go on their website and check the dates of the last edit. When you go on any website, you're able to determine the date of the last edit. They edited just the gender identity and sexual rights definition yesterday afternoon after I had raised a red flag in the morning. That is when they hurriedly went online to make those changes. As we speak, their so-called revised version, which they edited yesterday, still bears the definition of sex, sexuality, and sexual orientation as pertained in this book. So if they indeed did their job well and they didn't sleep on their job, or it's not their deliberate agenda, before the book will even be printed, that is the time they do review. You don't do reviews when you have already printed the wrong things and circulated it and enforced it and it's been implemented already, taught 2 weeks in the classroom. So that is a lie, because if they reviewed it, they would have flagged it even before going to the print. So we flagged it just yesterday. Go online and you see it. Just yesterday they edited it. So that is a big lie. And so the Director-General of NACA must be fired for one, sleeping on the job, and two, and being complicit in this grand LGBT agenda, and thirdly, coming to spill falsehood to Ghanaians. Number three, the most important thing is that, look, as we speak, this is the teacher manual in the hands of teachers. This is what is being taught. Them. Have you seen any directive directed at heads of schools, directed at regional directors of education, directed at teachers and HODs in physical education, that henceforth we are recalling all teacher manuals, and the instruction is that you must relinquish all of them, discard them from classrooms, and take steps to unlearn the dangerous, diabolical concepts you have already taught in week 1 and week 2. Unlearn them. Have you seen any such directive?
He says steps are being taken.
So that is
probably written to the headmaster.
No. So that's how long must it take to take those steps? And that's what I'm telling you. It was just yesterday, reactively and rather irresponsibly, incompetently, after we had flagged it, before they started. It took them several hours to even release the statement, saddled with a lot of mistakes and errors. So they are now even thinking about how to go about the recall. Well, yesterday, your sister station interviewed Joy News, Joy FM. They interviewed NAGRAC. They said they are not aware of any steps NACA has taken to enforce whatever they are saying they are going to do by recalling these manuals and directive issued that they are even aware of, indicating that they should discard this book. They are not aware. So who did they write to? And who did they give that instruction to? And what steps have they taken? So these things, these books are still in the classrooms, and teachers are being forced to teach this poison to our students. The danger is that you may be a media person, you may be a clergy, you may be a traditional ruler, you may be a Muslim cleric, you may be a farmer, you may be, a trader, and whatever endeavor you are, you have just sent your child to the school thinking and trusting that this government will teach them actual good concept, conservative principles and values in line with our norms. And you are trusting that there is an institution called NACA under the oversight of Ministry of Education, that will be the gatekeeping and introduce safeguards to ensure that content delivered to them are wholesome. Unknown to you, you can be NDC, you can be MPP, you can be apolitical. They are poisoning your student. You must be worried. People must be worried. This matter must not be looked at with political consideration or partisan sensitivity.
It's been corrected in the manual.
It hasn't been corrected. I am telling you that
they said they have an online.
Check, so open the link.
I've opened it.
So when you open the link,
gender.
Read the definition of sex.
Okay.
And check it with this, and read the definition of sexual orientation, and check it with the handbook. And see if there's any difference. The only thing they've changed is the gender identity and sexual rights. Those two. The rest are still in there.
Yes, but the issue was with gender identity.
The issue is not only with gender identity.
Okay, let me read sex. Sex says the biological and physical characteristics that define humans as female or male. These characteristics are caused by chromosomes, hormone levels, reproductive or sexual organs, and other physical traits. It also means the engagement in physical activities or behaviors involving sexual organs and often aiming for sexual pleasure or reproduction. That's true, that's sex.
Read sexual orientation. So now, and they bring terminologies. Sexual identity. Did you hear sexual identity? Gender identity. It was in.
Yeah, it's the
sexual orientation.
But it's been taken off. But there's sexuality.
Read all the terminologies.
Okay, sexuality.
The only thing that has changed is the gender identity and sexual rights.
That was the issue. But
no, that's not the only issue. Okay. And that is where people. That's why I have a problem with what you have entitled gender definition. The problem with this LGBT agenda is grant and not gender definition. Okay. So read the entire thing. So see, that's a problem I have with what you have put the gender definition. It's a grand LGBT promotion agenda. Nobody should attempt to downplay it.
Okay, sexuality. A broad range of concepts related to sexual feelings, thoughts, attractions, and behaviors toward other people. It includes sexual orientation, sexual behavior, and sexual identity.
And then what is sexual orientation? And all these you've read.
Okay.
How have they changed?
Let me look at sexuality.
When did we start teaching our children that your sexual orientation is no longer being a male or female, but it's about however you feel towards anybody or others? And however your chromosomes and hormones, dictate to you. When did we start teaching our children this?
Reverend,
so if you're an NDC person and you think that this is the best doctrine that must be given to your children who are in their most vulnerable stage between 13 and 19, with all these, tendencies of LGBT already inherent in boarding houses, which we are trying to rid it off, and now it's been emboldened, being introduced, and teachers who our learners and children listen to more than their parents are being forced to teach students that your sexual orientation is no longer being a female or male, but it's about how you feel. And if you are an NDC person and you don't have any problem about that, you see, by the time your child is 3 years under NDC, they will come back home, and no amount of political indoctrination will change the sexual behavior and indoctrination that has been poisoned, that has poisoned them. So the point I'm making is that all the so-called definitions, the thing they have done, is only about gender identity and sexual rights. Every other definition, as problematic as they are, stand as they are.
Okay, let me go through the definition. Sexual orientation. The sexuality in the revised one they sent. A broad range of concepts related to sexual feelings, thoughts, attractions, behaviors towards others. It includes sexual orientation, sexual behavior, sexual identity.
How is that different from this?
It's still the same thing here.
Still the same.
For sexuality. Let's go to sexual orientation. It describes a person's pattern of emotional, romantic or sexual attraction to others. The same thing remains.
It's the same thing.
But gender.
So that's what I'm telling you.
Gender has changed. Let me read it. It says
it's only, and I've said it, that the only thing they have changed, only two things. Every other problematic LGBT agenda still remains. So if they change just these two and think that they have cured it, they have not cured it. And that is why I conclude that it is not an error, it is not an omission, but it is a deliberate attempt to poison the minds of the people. Because if it was an error, you would just find one or two errors. And once you lift them out, it cures the mischief. But in this case, they are claiming that, oh, we have done a comprehensive review. And after our review, we have determined that only gender identity and sexual rights definitions are problematic. Those were the ones that initially I raised. And you see, when you do this thing bit and bit, if you had raised everything, they would just come and change everything and say, oh, well, but when I just raised the two, they quickly went and said, we have just changed those two. But all the other ones still remain. So just do fact checking. Their so-called revised one, which they are put back online, still contains all the problematic definitions under sex, under sexual orientation, under sexuality. And that is how deliberate this government wants to poison the minds of the future generation. At a time when President Trump, President of the United States, jurisdictions that hitherto people would have thought that would have pushed down these values on us and even apply sanctions if you fail to, condone to certain conditionalities, is clamping down on these definitions. If you have these definitions from sex, sexuality, and all that, and teaching these things in the United States today, they will cut off funding to your school. That is a policy. He has given a policy, foreign policy directive to all his envoys, in all the ambassadors he has appointed to various nations, how they must relate to countries, and even tax them that countries that will seek to promote and propagate LGBT tendencies will be sanctioned. Is this the time that you, President Mahama and NDC, you should be introducing these into teacher manuals and be teaching, and then they make a statement in the NACA response that, oh, they are downplaying, it is not optional, it is optional. Didn't you read it?
Yeah.
They said that this
manual is optional.
It's optional.
But is it not?
It is, they don't even understand how critical teacher manual is in curriculum implementation. You can have the best, the fantastic, most competent curriculum in the world. It is there. How many people see curriculum? How many people have seen curriculum? It is somewhere, it's a framework, it is there. But the most important tool to deliver that curriculum and to implement it is the teacher manual, is the teacher guide, is the pedagogy. It is what the teacher lessons, is lesson notes and all that drawn from the teacher manual, which must be aligned to the curriculum. So if you decide that your teacher manual should be misaligned, and your teacher manual you should smuggle LGBT into it, that is what the learner is going to have. That is the definition the learner is going to learn.
So the sexual right.
So they should not even attempt to downplay it. And it's not optional because they printed it for all teachers. All teachers who teach the subject. Okay. If it were optional, would you have printed it?
The sexual rights definition in the revised one has not changed. But I have a question. It says the recognition of sexual rights includes the right to sexual pleasure, autonomy over one's own body, as well as freedom from violence and discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender. How is this wrong?
These are when it comes to LGBT, and this push and pull and advocacy, these are the terminologies. When they went to Vienna, the UN, United Nations Human Rights Council, NDC, when they went last year to vote in a rather unfortunate far departure from our position as a country and abstained from matters of LGBT, they were appointing an independent consultant who was going to ensure these terminologies are what must be enforced. When did you hear these terminologies in our education system? When did you hear concept of sexual rights, orientation? You can feel anything, whether you're a boy or girl, you can feel anything to others, not the opposite sex, and then engage in sexual pleasures with anything and others without, and they say it does not have regard for being a male or female. You can even be both. When did we start introducing these concepts into our constitutional society? But do you know the dangerous thing, and why I conclude again that it is a deliberate grand agenda by the NDC? Read the reports of the Constitutional Review Committee. They have also introduced similar content to come and add it. See, our Constitution is very clear on our values in terms of family. Now they are pushing in LGBT things, and these things about you can feel anything, you can take any orientation and by your feelings and do anything you like and express your sexual pleasures. These are the very terminologies and clauses that NDC government want to push into the constitution. And see, they are doing these things very quietly. Not many people will take the pain to read all these. So our brothers and sisters in my village, Asin Kruwa, in Azim, in Disco, for instance, in Agran Kwanta, will just say, oh, me, I'm NDC. I'm going to vote referendum because my NDC people say I should vote yes. You are voting yes to make sure you hang your child's future, your child's values around this diabolical concept. And once fundamentally it finds expression in this constitution, we are doomed. So we should be mindful of the agenda of this government, a government that campaigned on the back of LGBT. Who would have thought that it would be under their tenure, that teacher manuals, the NACA will print it, and DES will send it to schools, and Ministry of Education will spend money and pay for it, and supervise it, and so pretend over gender being fluid. You can be both, it can be a blend. It's about how you feel, it's about inner sexual pleasure, and it's not about whether you are assigned at birth, male or female. Well, how did we get here in the first place?
But we need to define
how
term.
Did we get here?
We need to define terms. So what do you want?
Gender is defined a non-binary nature.
They've defined it as such, but you're saying that there are still mixing.
No, sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is your orientation has been a man or a woman, being a male or a female. That is it. What more is?
So what do you want them to do?
See, the fluid and inspired by LGBT proponents, and in expanding the, now if you are applying to schools in those LGBT jurisdictions, you will be shocked the kind of gender fluidity you see there.
Yeah.
That's what they want to introduce here. That's the same thing NDC is introducing. Then when you talk, they'll say, oh, but it's a modern trend. It is acceptable. That is how sexual orientation must be defined. Who said in Ghana, that is how we define our sexual orientation?
What do you want them to do?
They must recall the textbooks.
They say they're doing that.
They are not. They haven't. They haven't shown us any directive to that effect. And two, they must delete every digital form and online version of this book, and they must sit down for us to have a comprehensive review of all that have gone in. And they must ensure that the Committee on Education in Parliament is involved. And as a matter of fact, they pay visits to accompany the retrievals of all this material, because they have demonstrated that Ghana cannot trust them to do what they are paid to do, what they were elected to do, and what institutions are mandated to do. So after all these things are done, we are urging the government to take their hands off and give another instruction to Speaker and Majority Leader Mahama Yarega to list the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill on the order paper. And we are also urging further that the inclusion of LGBT proposals into the constitutional review proposal must be deleted from whatever white paper or whatever committee further they want to take and to state what must go for referendum. They must take all those things out. Okay. And three, and they must appear before Parliament to answer questions, because this is unacceptable. Okay. How Minister for Education, how the Director-General for NACA, he must be fired. So by the time they are appearing, they must appear with an acting Director-General of NACA. This must not go like that. It must have consequences. Okay. Then after they have explained why this thing happened and the steps they are taking, and we have quality assured it, my appeal to Ghanaians is that this is not about NDC or MPP. This must not be viewed with partisan consideration. This must not be looked at with political sensitivities. It's about your child. It's about the innocence of that young girl, that young boy of yours in the school. Let us all rise up and show interest. If you're a preacher, you are a pastor, you are a prophet, apostle, you are a bishop, you are an imam, you are a chief, you are a fetish priest, whichever religious affiliation that you are, that you led strongly demonstrations against the previous government because you were told that somebody wants to accept LGBT at a time when we didn't have textbooks and teacher manuals in schools that contain these things. Okay. And today you are quiet. Let us rise up, because if we don't, and we do give other considerations, goodwill, and what somebody is benefiting from, it is your children that are being poisoned. It is your children that are being indoctrinated.
Okay.
And after they have spent 3 years under President Mahama NDC government with these kind of teaching and learning materials, no amount of preaching, no amount of Quranic citation, no amount of deliverance, prayer, or libation can remove and unlearn these concepts.
I'm grateful. Reverend John Intim-Fojo is a lead sponsor of the Proper Family Values Bill, which we don't know where it will be now. But this one from Nekwiyama Boatin says, NDC are simply playing with the minds of Ghanaians with the introduction of LGBTQ into our curriculum. Okay, so now they define it's not curriculum, it is with the teacher manuals. No wonder they are silent on the LGBT matter as they are in power now. They were so loud in opposition only to turn around and promote the lesbians and gays activities. Nana Ikuwa Boateng, Ablekuma Central, aka Dr. Baumia will lead MPP into victory 2028. Thank you very much, sir. But AM Show is sponsored by Shield Silicon Paint from the Azar Group, Syntex Pipes, and Time Mobile Mixture. Now, First Sky Group invites the public to its 23rd Thanksgiving service themed Proclaiming the Mighty Deeds of the Lord from Psalm 71:15 to 16, hosted by founder and executive chairman Mr. Eric Sedi Kutuche. Okay, Kutuche. Activities begin with an all-night service on Friday, January 23rd, 2026 at the Trinity Temple Assemblies of God in Tema. The main Thanksgiving event takes place on Sunday, January 25, 2026 at the Accra International Conference Center, featuring Reverend Dominic Yeo as guest speaker, Apostle General Sam Kranchi Ankra as chairman, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as special guest of honor, and administration music by Kofi Owusu Pepra. Now, we'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Do stay.
So much for staying. This is the AM show. Let's spend the last few minutes on this very important conversation. By the time we're done with this conversation, you know how we can improve healthcare with technology. But I'm not the expert. And guess who is here to let us understand how he plans on doing that? And of course, with other stakeholders who would be able to help achieve this goal. I've got Manuel Karanti, yes, Bra Manuel Abagana, the ICE Naba, the Executive Director, Mentapulse Africa, and Dr. Gifty Azunri. She is Chief Medical Officer. You'd find her at Mary Health. And we'll tell you why she is here as well, and that community health campaign that will be happening. Also, we'll be telling you all of that. But no, I see you like Ghana Pa. You're too
asking me that. This is where I'm from, in case you have forgotten.
It's as if we've known you, we've collateralized you to the UK. But anyway, tell me, you're back with another very important one.
Yes,
tell me, what brings you to Ghana?
So I'll just be quick about it. You know, we had the conversation about the work, labor and health congruent. Now what we're trying to do is to enter into the community. What we thought at Mentapulse Africa was to, you know, set it up, set what we call satellite wellness hubs in companies. But by the grace of God, we got into contact with partners from Mary Health, who are behind AI-powered platforms that improve accessibility to healthcare in a dignifying way, so that we cut out all of the excesses, including the inconveniences, the cost barriers, and in fact for hard-to-reach areas, you know, in the hinterland and so on, that they can get access to healthcare. So we are partnering with Mary Health. It's a health technology company that is leading this campaign. So that's why I'm back in Ghana. Okay,
but what form and shape will this technology take?
So they've got two key products, and at some point I'll let Dr. Zunri do the talking. Two key products. One is a chatbot. It's called Ask Mary. It's almost like ChatGPT, except only better, because the LLMs have been trained with data from Ghana, from Burundi, from Nigeria. And
what is LLMs?
So large language models. So these are the, if you like, the ingredients of the knowledge behind the AI.
Okay.
And so, unlike ChatGPT, which scrapes the internet to give you anything that it finds, which are mostly Eurocentric, right? European information, American, and so on. These ones have been trained with African data, and so it's relevant to your specific case as a Ghanaian, as an African. And so you can sit in the comfort of your office, your room, and say, chat to the Ask Mary chatbot and say, well, I'm having a stomach upset. It can ask you follow-up questions and ultimately triage you to see a doctor like Dr. Azunri, who will then give you proper consulting and make recommendations, sometimes can prescribe for you over the digital platform. They've got a PAT, the Patient Access Terminal, which is to a hospital what an ATM is to a bank.
Okay.
So you, instead of going to a banking hall to go and see a teller and all of wait, you can just use the PAT. You go there, it's got audio-visual sensors, it's got, speech-to-text features, which will ask you questions and eventually connect you to a doctor who then consults for you. It can be outside, your company, it can be outside a church station and so on. You don't have to go into a hospital. And as you're seeing on your screen, people trying it out when we did our pilot in Amasaman. Some people have already been getting in touch with us. Gifty, if you want to.
Okay.
Yes, so just like Manuel mentioned, the system is designed such that we have an AI health assistant, which is Ask Mary, where you can access via WhatsApp. And then we have a patient access terminal.
Okay.
And so at the moment, we have some patients that have logged on to Ask Mary who have opted to speak to healthcare providers like myself.
Okay.
And we have already attended to them.
And so far, how successful has this been?
Yes, so far it's been amazing, and the interest in actually accessing it is tremendous, because a lot of people are battling with having to sit in hospitals and join long queues before accessing health. And so if there's a system where you can access health at the comfort of your home.
If I understand, this is very AI driven, and so what are we going to do in Chifopraso?
So in Chifopraso, what we're trying to do is to enter a live community which has all of the elements, whether they're old people, young people, women, men, healthy, not so healthy, to get a sense of how the AI performs in the proper community. And so that's what is happening. Obviously, we've already tested it, everything is safe. What we're trying to do is to prevent self-medication, self-prescription. Okay. So that's what we're going to do in Chifopraso. Our thinking is that from Chifopraso, we can then upscale to roll out nationally. So the Chifopraso is essentially going to be like a model that will look at to say, okay, over here, this is how people accessed it. We learn how Ghanaians interact with AI, with some of these gadgets, and then we can improve it across the.
I see the 16th and 17th.
Yes,
absolutely.
I also see that there are activities. You want to run me through dental screening,
great,
NHIS registration, health education, free health kits. Really, I like free stuff. Welcome. Eye testing and general health screening. Are people paying for all of these activities?
No, it's absolutely free.
Everything is free. And just to quickly add that, we've included the NHIS as one of our key partners because it sits right into the country's Agenda 2030 Universal Health Coverage Plan, where we're looking to enroll everybody in the country at 100% rate, everybody onto primary health care at a universal rate. So that's what we're doing. So we're trying to onboard thousands of people on the day in Chifopraso. So on the 16th and then the 17th, we're doing 2 different locations, setting up and bringing all of these goodies, to people in the town. So
okay, Dr. Azunri, maybe finally for you, what will this whole campaign, what would it do? How would it help our health sector?
Yes, so the whole idea is to enlighten everyone else on what we do at Mary Health and how, the Ghanaian community relates with Mary Health. And going forward, based on what we would learn from this, we intend to incorporate whatever bottlenecks that we find during these outreaches to better the system. But the whole idea behind Mary Health is to ensure that we bridge any bottlenecks with respect to long waiting times in the hospitals, and then any delayed healthcare, accessing healthcare, because most people end up not even going to the hospitals because they feel like they have to go and sit in a long queue before they see a doctor. And then also, we are trying to take away any administrative tasks that healthcare providers would probably we have to go through when they are accessing, when they are providing healthcare.
Manuel, I have to apologize. The time is just finished. So when you're done, please give me updates.
We'll absolutely come back.
Okay.
And thank you so much, joining us for always.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swell. Thank you so much for joining us for the show today. Please stay for Joy News Desk. I am Emma Fakusi Adetina. Did this with the Ahantapele. Thank you.